I woke up gasping for air, feeling like my lungs were full of freezing river water. It felt so real, someone had killed me. But somehow I was alive. Before I could calm down, I heard voices outside my door. It was Su Jingmei, speaking to Mom in that soft, pitiful tone of hers. She was telling Mom to let her go to the countryside instead of me, going on about how she suffered for years in the rural village, waking before dawn, frozen hands in winter, sunburned skin in summer, working through high fevers. Here's the thing, Jingmei and I aren't real sisters. Our mothers gave birth in the same hospital, and the babies got switched. Jingmei grew up in the countryside with my real parents, while I grew up here with her family, the Su family. Now that the truth came out, Jingmei came back, and the question was, who stays and who gets sent to the countryside? But I already knew how this story ends. I saw it all in my dream. In the dream, I felt guilty toward Jingmei and gave her everything she wanted. At first, things were fine. But then she started scheming against me, framing me for stealing, spreading rumors that I was sleeping around, even hurting herself to blame me. I fell for every trap. My family grew to hate me, and they threw me out on my 18th birthday. With nowhere to go, I tried to find my real parents. But on the way, someone pushed me into an icy river. I drowned. And the person who pushed me? Jingmei had sent them. It got even worse after I died. I found out the baby's switch wasn't an accident at all. Su's father did it on purpose. Some fortune teller told him I was born with a wealth-bringing fate. The better they treated me, the richer they'd get. Then at 18, they could swap me back and steal my luck. And that's exactly what happened in the dream. I was kicked out on my 18th birthday. Right now, I'm 3 months away from turning 18. I could still feel that freezing cold from the dream. But I made my decision. I wasn't going to wait around for them to turn on me. Better to leave now, while they still care about me. When Mom came into my room to check on me, I told her the truth. I said I heard her conversation with Jingmei, and I wanted to go to the countryside myself.
She was shocked.
She kept saying I was too weak, that I couldn't handle hard labor. But I insisted. I told her Jingmei had already suffered enough, and it wasn't right to make her go back. Mom didn't want to let me go, but in the end, she agreed. She pulled out a stack of money and stuffed it into my pocket, telling me not to be stingy with myself. She promised to give me grain coupons and cloth coupons too. My throat tightened. In the dream, when I left this house, I was half crazy with nothing but bus fare. This time was different. Thank you, Mom. That was all I could say. That night after dinner, I went back to my room to prepare. I remembered from the dream that Jingmei got her hands on a jade pendant of mine, and that's what brought her all her luck, turning her into a total winner in life. But which pendant was it? I pulled out every jade piece I owned, gifts collected over the years, and examined them one by one. I had an idea. I pricked my finger with a sewing needle and dripped blood onto each pendant. The first one, nothing. Second, nothing. Third, fourth, fifth, all nothing. But the sixth one, a pale green pendant, flashed with a faint green glow. It vanished in an instant, but I saw it clearly. My heart started pounding. Before I could study it further, I heard a commotion outside my door, followed by knocking. Zhao Zhao, are you asleep? Come out for a moment. I quickly hid the pendant in my inner pocket and walked to the door. The moment I opened my door, I saw Jingmei standing there with wet, red eyes like she'd just been crying. Mom looked uncomfortable. Zhao Zhao, Jingmei says her pearl necklace is missing. The one we gave her when she came home.
Have you
seen it? Jingmei looked up with teary eyes and said in her timid little voice, Mom, maybe I just forgot where I put it. It's not necessarily Zhao Zhao, but her eyes were already scanning my room. The old me would have exploded. I would have screamed, accused her of framing me, and lost my mind over Mom not trusting me. And that's exactly what Jingmei wanted. The crazier I acted, the better she looked by comparison. But I just stepped aside and said calmly, you want to come in and look? Jingmei froze. This wasn't the reaction she expected. Mom and Jingmei walked into my room. I could see Jingmei eyeing everything with jealousy. I opened my jewelry box and a small chest, bracelets, watches, necklaces, silver pieces, jade pendants. all valuable things I'd collected over the years. See anything that's yours? I asked. Jingmei's face turned red. She started stammering about how I looked down on her for being a country girl, how she didn't deserve nice things, how she should just go back to the countryside where she belonged. While crying to Mom with her back turned, she shot me a smug, taunting look. She was waiting for me to lose it. But then Mom just sighed and said, Jingmei, Zhao Zhao already told me she's going to the countryside. Jingmei's crying stopped dead. She stared at me in disbelief. She never imagined I'd actually give all this up. I yawned. Anything else? I need to pack tomorrow morning. Before Jingmei could recover, the housekeeper Wang Ma appeared at the door holding a pearl necklace. Miss, is this the necklace? I found it in the laundry water just now. Jingmei's eyes went wide. She had planted it in my room, but somehow it ended up in the laundry.
How?
Mom realized she'd wrongly suspected me. Guilt washed over her face. Zhao Zhao, Mom. I didn't let her finish. I took the necklace from Wang Ma and placed it in Jingmei's hand. Keep it safe. Don't lose it again. I let her see the amusement in my eyes. She got the message loud and clear. Before she could react, I stepped back into my room and shut the door. Once I was alone, I pulled out the pale green jade pendant again. Before I could figure out what that green glow was about, I heard a cold voice in my head. Congratulations, host. This system has been activated and is now at your service. You may call upon me in your thoughts. I blinked. Was I hearing things? There was nobody in the room. Was it the pendant? Are you talking to me? I asked. Yes. What's your name? My designation is 003. I specialize in serving tragic female side characters who died miserably and then awakened. Died miserably. Side character. Those words fit me perfectly. So this little 003 was mine now. All right, 003, tell me what you can do. The voice explained that inside the system there was a massive library. I could study any book I wanted. Health, cooking, medicine, anything. And time moved 3 times slower inside. So 1 hour of real time equaled 3 hours of study. Plus, I'd never feel tired.
Study?
I scratched my curly hair. I hate studying. But 003 wasn't done. It said I could also use other people's goodwill points to unlock books and the knowledge would just download straight into my brain. What's the point of studying? I asked. I thought this system would be something amazing, but all it offered was books. I'd rather have money or something useful. 003 went quiet for a second, then said, the host can also use goodwill points to purchase any item on the interface. Suddenly a wall appeared in front of me, covered with all kinds of things, food, drinks, and stuff I didn't even recognize. Hundreds of items, dazzling and overwhelming. A glowing screen floated in front of me, neatly displaying all kinds of items with pictures and names. The Su family had always spoiled me, so I thought I'd seen plenty of nice things in my life. But most of the stuff?
I had no idea what it was.
Luckily, there were labels underneath each item. Strawberry cake, ibuprofen, flashlight, peeler, coat. Some I could guess, others meant nothing to me. At the bottom of the screen was a purchase button, but it was dim and gray. I tried tapping it, but my finger went right through. Is this stuff real or fake? I asked. 003 explained that everything on the screen was real, organized by category. What I was seeing was the daily life section, food, drinks, everyday necessities. As long as I had enough goodwill points, I could buy anything. So if I buy it, I can actually use it. Yes, host. I noticed I could swipe through the pages like flipping a book. Some items appeared in bright colors while others were dull and gray. 003 told me my current goodwill points were 0, so most items were locked. Once I earned enough points, the gray items would turn colorful, meaning I could buy them. So, what exactly are goodwill points? 003 said they were the system's currency, generated when other people genuinely felt positive emotions toward me. The key word was genuinely. Fake kindness didn't count. Only people who truly thought well of me could produce goodwill points. Fine by me. As long as this system didn't fall into Jingmei's hands, I was satisfied. I wasn't planning to die young. I decided not to put all my hopes on this system, though. For all I knew, it could disappear one day. Hey, 003, I said. You're helping me, so what do you get out of it? 003 buzzed and said, "If the host earns enough goodwill points, I can become number 1 in the system." I paused. "You're already number 3. Isn't that good enough?" 003's voice got quieter. "I'm not 3rd place. 003 is just my code name. I'm actually 3rd from the bottom." I felt a little bad. "Hey, that's not so terrible. At least there are still 2 behind you. And think about how much room you have to grow." I wasn't sure if my pep talk helped, but the next thing I knew, I was back in my room. 003 had told me I could contact it just by thinking its name. But it was already late, so I figured I'd let it rest and try again in the morning. The next day, while the family was out, I went to the neighborhood office to register for going to the countryside. I brought a dozen eggs as a gift for Director Liu. Her sister-in-law Guifan had just had a baby, and eggs were a precious item for recovering mothers. "Director Liu, please don't be polite with me. These are for Guifan to build her strength back up." Then I asked her to help me with the registration paperwork. I laid it on thick, telling her I believed everyone should contribute wherever they're planted. She looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time. Most young people cried their eyes out when they heard about going to the countryside, and some even tried to bribe her. But here I was, volunteering with a smile. With her guidance, I wrote down my destination, Hepin Village, Riverside Village. She reminded me to stock up on supplies since shopping wouldn't be easy out there. That got me thinking. I needed to prepare a lot of things, but how would I carry it all? Too little wouldn't be enough, but too much would draw attention. 003, are you there? Yes, host. If I buy things, can you store them for me? Of course, host. That was all I needed to hear. The Su family had always given me spending money, but I'd blown most of it on fun. I never imagined I'd worry about money someday. Between what Mom gave me yesterday and what I had left, I had a little over 200 yuan. I started shopping, prioritizing the essentials. 3 thick quilts and 3 thin ones, 50 yuan. A few sets of practical clothes, 31 yuan. 100 jin each of rice, flour, and corn, 37 yuan. Salt and brown sugar, 3.5 yuan. Meat and eggs, 10 jin each, about 17.5 yuan. Total spent, 139.1 yuan. That left me with 97.9 yuan. I decided to stop there. I couldn't go to the countryside, completely broke. When nobody was around, I had 003 store everything away. All I had to do was think about it, and the items would enter the space. Asked if the eggs and meat would go bad in there. No, 003 said. Everything inside stays exactly the way it was when you put it in. Now that was a useful feature. I finally felt a little more at ease. I had just gotten home when Mom spotted me from the living room sofa. "Zhao Zhao, where did you go today?" I submitted my paperwork at the neighborhood office. "I'm leaving for the countryside tomorrow." Mom froze. "That fast? Don't you still have time? Sooner or later I have to go." Might as well start adjusting early. I told her I needed to go pack, but she grabbed my hand before I could leave. "Zhao Zhao, Mom has something to ask you." Her voice dropped, and she couldn't look me in the eye. "That jewelry box from yesterday, your jade pendants." Jingmei grew up in the countryside and never had nice things. "Could you maybe give her a few pieces?" She lowered her head right after saying it. I could tell she felt ashamed for even asking. She quickly added, "Not all of them. Just a few you don't care about. When you come back from the countryside, Mom will buy you even better ones." In my dream, this exact scene had played out. Dreamy had been willing to share, but before I could say yes, Jingmei had made some snarky comment that set me off. I ended up throwing the box, crying, and slamming my door. That reaction was exactly what Jingmei wanted. But this time? Sure. I didn't hesitate. Before Mom could even process it, I went in my room, grabbed the whole jewelry box, and set it on the table. "It's all here. She can have everything." That's too much," Mom waved her hands. "I only meant 1 or 2 pieces. I'm going to work in the fields. Wearing fancy jewelry would be ridiculous. Let her have it all." I truly didn't care about any of it. In the countryside, this stuff was worthless. Besides, if my guess was right, what Jingmei really wanted was that one special jade pendant. Footsteps came down the stairs. Jingmei appeared. Mom awkwardly told her to pick a few pieces. But Jingmei examined every single one carefully, then frowned at me. Zhao Zhao, is this really all of them? That confirmed my suspicion. Had Jingmei also had a dream? It didn't matter. She'd never find that pendant. It had already merged with my body, turned into a small red birthmark on my chest. Yeah, that's everything, I said, keeping my face perfectly calm. But Jingmei bit her lip. I remember you had a small, pale green jade pendant. About this big. Did I? I don't remember. I pushed the box toward her. Take all of these. They're worth more than whatever pendant you're talking about, but she didn't want them. She wanted the dream pendant. She must have dreamed about it too, and believed it was some kind of sign from heaven. Too bad for her. I said I didn't have it, and there was nothing she could do. Mom's expression shifted. She was getting annoyed. Zhao Zhao said she doesn't have it. Just pick a few and be done with it. Jingmei wanted to argue more, but I spoke first.
Mom, it's fine.
You all gave me these things, so really I'm just returning them to their rightful owner. I'm happy to give Jingmei everything. Now I need to go pack. I walked away before Jingmei could say another word. I heard Mom pull Jingmei aside downstairs. She told her to stop making trouble for me. I'd lived here for 18 years. I was about to leave for the countryside with no idea when I'd come back, and enough was enough. Then Mom came upstairs to talk to me too. Don't blame Jingmei. She's just insecure. I wanted to say something, but in the end I just sighed internally. I'd heard that excuse 1,000 times in my dream. I understood Mom was caught in the middle. The fact that she didn't kick me out after learning the truth already made her better than most people would be. All I wanted now was to survive. And soon, I'd be far away from here. Okay, Mom. I understand. Once I was alone, I called out in my mind, 003. Yes, host, does Jingmei have a system too? After all, 003 said it was ranked third from the bottom, which meant there were many systems out there. What if Jingmei had one ranked near the top? Please rest assured, host. Only one system can exist in a single world. Relief washed over me. Thanks, 003. If the host truly wants to thank me, just focus on earning goodwill points. I wanted to. I just hadn't had the right opportunity yet. Don't worry, I told it. I'll work hard. Someday I'll make you number. I caught myself before I made a promise I couldn't keep. Then I'll make sure you're not third from the bottom anymore. I woke up before dawn, just past 6. I'd never gotten up this early in my life, but with everything weighing on my mind, sleep wasn't coming back. I changed into simple clothes, grabbed my packed luggage, and headed out. The smell of cooking hit me as soon as I opened the door. Mom was already in the kitchen. She turned around quickly, trying to hide her swollen red eyes. Why are you up so early? Go back to sleep. The train doesn't leave for a while. It's fine. Better to go early than miss it. She asked what I wanted to eat, offered to make me something special. But my appetite was weak, and I knew the train would smell terrible. I just ate a little to settle my stomach. When it was time to go, I saw what Mom had packed for me, and my jaw nearly dropped. Boiled eggs, flatbread, pastries, candy, homemade meat sauce. She just kept stuffing things into the bag until I grabbed her hand. Mom, that's way too much. I can't eat all of it, and it'll spoil in this heat. Her voice cracked. Take it all. On the road you'll need it. Once you're in the countryside. It won't be easy to get food like this. I caught Jingmei watching from the side, gritting her teeth. She was mentally cursing me, I could tell. She wanted me sent to the worst, hardest place possible. Mom insisted on walking me to the train station. Jingmei tagged along too. She wanted to see me leave with her own eyes. The station was a madhouse. The platform was packed with people shouting over each other. I didn't so much board the train as get shoved onto it by the crowd. Luckily, I found my seat by the window. I waved at Mom through the glass. Take care of yourself, Mom. I'm going now. Her tears finally broke free. Zhao Zhao, look after yourself. Wear warm clothes when it's cold. Eat when you're hungry. Don't be stingy with money, and if you run out, write me a letter. Just before the train started moving, she shouted, Where are you going? Tell me so I can send you things. I gripped the window frame. Hepin Village. The train roared to life. Mom relaxed a little when she heard that. Hepin Village was where my real parents lived, the family whose baby got switched with Jingmei. At least I wouldn't be completely alone there. But Jingmei's face twisted the moment she heard those words. She was furious. In her mind, I'd played the innocent act while secretly planning to go find my birth parents and take the family's money with me. She was probably hoping I'd come crawling back within 2 weeks, begging to return. On the train, the air was suffocating, sweat, cigarette smoke, food, and the occasional whiff of the toilet, all trapped together in the sealed car. After 18 years of comfortable living, my body wasn't handling it well. At least my window seat let me crack it open for some fresh air. I popped an orange candy into my mouth and crunched it down. That helped a little. Then I saw a little boy, maybe 5 or 6, getting crushed in the crowd. He tripped over someone's luggage and went flying forward. I reached out instinctively and caught him. My heart was pounding. If he'd fallen, he would have smashed his forehead, and there was some kind of sharp metal pipe right next to him. "You okay, little guy?" I brushed the dust off his pants. His mother rushed over and hugged him tight, thanking me over and over. "Thank you so much." "This kid never listens." I told him not to run. I smiled and said it was nothing, then sat back down. The moment I settled in, a mechanical voice rang in my head. "Goodwill points too." I froze. That was 003. 003. Was that really Goodwill points? "Yes, host." "Congratulations on earning 2 Goodwill points." I was thrilled but forced myself to stay calm. I was on a crowded train, not the place to check the system. I figured the points came from the boy's grateful mother. The aisle was chaos. More young people heading to the countryside were cramming in with huge bundles, blocking everything. Bags split open, stuff spilled everywhere, people complained. I silently thanked 003 for storing all my supplies in the space. I had barely any visible luggage. A piece of clothing flew off someone's pile and landed on my leg. I picked it up and saw a girl with neat features and a few freckles struggling through the crowd. "Is this yours?" "Yes." "Thank you." She grabbed it, stuffed it back in her bag, and plopped down in the seat right next to mine. We're seatmates. I'm Lu Chuanxia, 19 years old, heading to Hepin Village. You, Su Zhaozhao, 18. I'm going to Hepin Village too. No way. Same place. Her eyes lit up. You're a sent-down youth too? You don't look like it. Your skin's white as snow cream. I laughed. Same as you. Answering the country's call, we were chatting when a soft voice interrupted us. Chuanxia. I looked up and saw a slim girl standing in the aisle. She wore faded clothes, had 2 braids hanging over her chest, and delicate features. But it was her eyes that caught my attention. Big, watery, always looking at people with this timid, helpless expression, like a frightened little rabbit. She instantly reminded me of Jingmei. They looked nothing alike, but that vibe? Identical. 003 chimed in. This type of person is called a white lotus. What's a white lotus? I asked. I only know about regular lotus flowers. A white lotus is someone who acts weak and pitiful to gain sympathy whenever there's a problem. Oh.
Got it.
You're pretty smart, 003. Chuanxia's smile faded when she saw the girl. She clearly didn't want to deal with her. Chuanxia, I called out to you earlier. Why did you ignore me? The girl said softly, sounding hurt. It's noisy in here. Didn't hear you. Things got awkward fast. Then a young man in his early 20s pushed through the crowd and stood in front of the girl, glaring at Chuanxia. Lu Chuanxia, didn't you hear Shinro talking to you? He was wearing a crisp green army-style shirt with neatly combed hair, looked like the educated type. His name was Gu Jing. Chuanxia rolled her eyes. Who I talk to is none of your business. This is basic manners. You can't take out your anger on Shinro just because of what happened between us. What did she ever do to you? Mind your own business. Chuanxia shot back. The girl, Lin Shinro, tugged Gu Jing's sleeve gently. Gu Jing, don't be mad at Chuanxia. She's probably just in a bad mood. He glanced at Chuanxia coldly. Don't bother with her. The 2 of them sat down across from us. From their conversation, I pieced things together pretty quickly. The 3 of them knew each other. Chuanxia and Shinro didn't get along. And Gu Jing clearly sided with the delicate, fragile Shinro. Chuanxia and I kept chatting. She pulled out a paper-wrapped package of almond cookies from her bag. They smelled amazing. Here, Zhao Zhao, try one. She handed me a piece without hesitation. These are so good. My mom bought them specially for the trip. No, I have my own food. Don't be polite. She shoved the cookie into my hand. You helped me earlier, and I haven't even thanked you yet. Just try it. I looked at the cookie, then at her honest, open smile, and felt something unfamiliar. I'd had plenty of friends back in the city. Girls who went shopping with me, watched movies with me, talked about the latest dresses. But deep down I knew they only hung around because I was part of the Sue family and could give them things. Without that status, they'd run the other way. Someone as genuine as Chuanxia? This was a first for me. Thanks. I took the cookie and fished out a few fruit candies from my pocket. Here, let's trade. Her eyes lit up the second she saw them. White rabbit candies. These are my absolute favorite. Thank you, Zhao Zhao. She popped one in her mouth and said, words all mushy. I just know we're meant to be friends. From now on, you're my buddy. I've got your back. Deal, I said. We got so caught up talking that we completely forgot about Shinro and Gu Jing sitting across from us. Then a male voice cut in. Chuanxia, you've still got cookies left, right? Give one to Shinro. She hasn't eaten anything this morning. It was Gu Jing. He spoke like it was an order, like Chuanxia owed him something. The smile vanished from Chuanxia's face. No, he looked stunned. They'd grown up together, and apparently Chuanxia used to follow him around like glue, doing whatever he said. He wasn't used to hearing no. His surprise turned into irritation. He shifted in his seat and softened his tone, but his words got sharper. You've got so many. A girl like you can't eat them all anyway. It'd be a waste. You should give them to someone who needs them. He paused, then added, besides, you're so. He didn't finish, but his eyes said it all. Chuanxia's face turned bright red from her cheeks to her ears. She'd always been bigger and taller than other girls her age. By 12 she was doing heavy labor, carrying 2 buckets of water half a mile without breaking a sweat. She was strong and capable, but she was still a girl. And the way Gu Jing looked at her, like her body was something shameful, made her feel humiliated. I saw everything. Her clenched fists, her trembling shoulders. A wave of anger hit me hard. Who did this Gu Jing think he was? Demanding someone else's food and shaming them at the same time? 003 spoke up. He is using PUA. What's PUA? It's a technique where someone tears you down and makes you doubt yourself until you lose all confidence. When you encounter this, push back immediately. I didn't need to be told twice. Excuse me, comrade, I said. My voice wasn't loud, but the calm, steady tone made the people around us go quiet. Gu Jing frowned and looked at me. I have a question I'd like to ask you. What? Our country calls on everyone to be self-reliant and work hard, to build a new life with our own hands, right? I asked him. Gu Jing blinked and nodded without thinking. Of course. Then let me ask you something. I paused and looked him up and down. You've got 2 working arms, 2 working legs, you look perfectly healthy, you're clearly not starving, and you're a man. So, why are you begging a woman for her food? Can't afford to buy your own? Or, do you just think other people's things should automatically be shared with you? The car went quiet for a second, then a few people started laughing. Gu Jing's face turned the color of raw liver. You're talking nonsense. I was asking for Shinro. She's weak, she didn't eat this morning. Oh, well if she's weak, she should have prepared food in advance, I said politely. This train ride is 2 days and 2 nights. She can't just beg from other people the entire way, can she? More laughter. Someone even clapped. Gu Jing was shaking with anger, veins popping on his forehead. He tried to argue back, but couldn't find a single hole in what I'd said. Finally, he squeezed out, sharp-tongued and unreasonable. Chuanxia looked him dead in the eye. The unreasonable one is you. Gu Jing, my things are mine. I give them to whoever I want. I used to be stupid and blind. I misjudged you. But I'm clear-headed now. Don't you ever think you can get anything from me again? Then she grabbed my hand tight, deeply moved. Zhao Zhao, all of these cookies are yours. I don't want your candy back. Just eat. Eat. A mechanical voice pinged in my head. Goodwill points 10. Current total, 12. I blinked. This girl's heart was pure gold. I just said a few words for her, and her goodwill jumped by 10. Lin Shinro, who had been sitting quietly beside Gu Jing, spoke up in her soft little voice.
Don't be mad at Chuanxia.
Gu Jing was just worried I'd go hungry. He's always looked after me like this. He's used to it. Chuanxia couldn't have cared less.
Oh, sure.
Got it. Her tone was so dismissive it was almost funny. She turned right back to me. Zhao Zhao, I've got more snacks in my bag. What do you want to eat? Shinro's smile froze solid. This wasn't how things were supposed to go. Chuanxia liked Gu Jing. She was supposed to get jealous and upset. And then there was me, apparently prettier than Shinro expected. I could see her nails digging into her own palms.
I'm sorry.
It's my fault. My health is just so bad. A single tear rolled perfectly down her pale cheek. Gu Jing immediately melted. He glared at Chuanxia and me, then comforted Shinro. It's not your fault. Don't cry. Some people are just mean and heartless. You're too kind for your own good. I felt like I was watching a stage performance, except we weren't in a theater. I stopped paying attention to them and turned to Chuanxia. I'm really not hungry right now. Save your food, we'll eat later. Chuanxia wanted to argue, but I said something that stopped her cold. We're friends now. If I want something, trust me, I won't be shy about asking. Yes, we're friends. She scooted closer and whispered in my ear. Zhao Zhao, you were incredible back there. I never know what to say when I'm angry. My brain goes blank, and I start stuttering. But you didn't use a single curse word, and his face still changed colors. That was better than slapping him twice. I laughed. Was I really that impressive? 5 hours passed before I knew it. The food cart came through, spicy pork, braised chicken, steamed buns, rice porridge. But you needed special train meal tickets to buy anything, and I hadn't prepared those since I had plenty of food stored in the space. Zhao Zhao, are you hungry?
My treat, Chuanxia said.
She decided I was skinny and fragile and needed feeding. This girl was way too generous. Each box meal cost several cents, and we were heading to the countryside where money would be tight. I'm a little dizzy. Can't eat right now, I told her. When she offered to get me hot water, I showed her I already had some. Then I reminded her gently to save her money. Nobody knew how long we'd be in the countryside before we could go home. Chuanxia threw her arms around me, eyes glistening. You're so good to me. Don't worry, my money is your money. I don't just spend it on any random person. I blinked. What exactly had I done to deserve this level of devotion? We hit it off like we'd known each other for years. Meanwhile, Shinro sat across from us with her head down, looking pitiful and lonely. I'd already figured out her situation from context. She came from a terrible family, 2 older sisters who'd essentially been sold off in marriage, a useless older brother, and a spoiled younger brother. If she hadn't volunteered for the countryside, her family would have sold her off too, probably for an even higher price. Gu Jing was her lifeline. Without a better option, he was the only thing she had to hold on to. After 2 days and 2 nights on the train, we finally arrived at the town. The moment the doors opened, the whole car exploded into chaos, everyone shoving and pushing with their bags. Chuanxia and I stayed put and waited until most people cleared out before grabbing our things and getting off. Well, Chuanxia grabbed our things. She carried everything like it weighed nothing. Chuanxia, let me take my own stuff. Don't be silly, she grinned and slung the bags around like they were bundles of straw. Just hold on to what's in your hands. The platform was a madhouse. Sent-down youth and village locals were all mixed together, shouting over each other. People held up wooden signs with village names. Others just screamed at the top of their lungs. Hepin Village Youth. Over here, I spotted a tall, broad-shouldered middle-aged man standing at the edge of the platform, hands on his hips, bellowing. Chuanxia nudged my arm. That's our guy. Let's go. When we got closer, I saw there were others besides us, four more young men and 3 young women. 9 of us total heading to Hepin Village, 5 guys for girls. The man introduced himself as Li Dashan, deputy leader of the Hepin Village production team. Just call me Old Li. Gu Jing immediately started sucking up, dusting off his white shirt and saying how grateful he was that Old Li came all this way to pick us up. Old Li just raised his chin and gave him a look. I could tell he'd seen this type before. Bookish, scheming, probably useless at actual work. Then Old Li's eyes swept across all of us and lingered on me for a few extra seconds. I knew what he was thinking. I looked like I couldn't lift a bucket, white as a snowball. He was already getting a headache. Let's go. Follow me. We walked out of the station and found a bumpy dirt road.
No truck. No tractor.
Not even a bicycle. Just a rickety ox cart pulled by a bony old yellow ox lazily swatting flies with its tail. If all of you sat on it, you'd crush the poor thing. Put your luggage on the cart. You walk behind it. Walk, Gu Jing asked. How far is the village? 20 li? 20 li? People started complaining. That was several hours of walking, and we just spent 2 days on a train. Old Li turned around, his dark, weathered face showing zero sympathy. You came here to work the countryside, not to be waited on. If you can't handle it, go back now. That shut everyone up. Going back wasn't an option. Chuanxia and I were the first to toss our bags onto the cart. She loaded everything up like it was nothing. I noticed Gu Jing standing there with his oversized, heavy suitcase. In the past, Chuanxia would have rushed over to help him without being asked. But this time she didn't even glance his way. She just stood next to me like a bodyguard. Gu Jing's face cycled through several shades. He tried to lift his suitcase, teeth clenched, barely got it off the ground, took 2 steps and had to set it down. Old Li finally walked over, picked it up with one hand, and tossed it onto the cart like it was nothing. Then he glanced at Gu Jing and said casually, "A man with less strength than a woman." Interesting. Gu Jing turned red as a tomato. He'd never done physical labor. That was always Chuanxia's job. He was the brain type. Shinrao jumped in to defend him. He's just tired from the trip. Normally, he's quite strong. Old Li didn't even look at her. All right. Load your stuff and stop wasting time. Shinrao bit her lip, clearly annoyed at being ignored. I could see the contempt in her eyes. To her, Old Li was just a country bumpkin, not worth respecting. Once all the luggage was piled up like a small mountain, Old Li tied everything down with rope, climbed onto the front of the cart, and cracked his whip lightly. The old ox let out a low moo and started plodding forward. We followed behind on foot. At first people chatted, but the energy died quickly. The northern sun wasn't brutal, but walking on an open road with no shade for hours still cooked us. Sweat soaked my hair and stuck it to my forehead. My cheeks burned red. Chuanxia noticed. Without saying anything, she moved half a step ahead of me. She was half a head taller with broad shoulders. She blocked most of the sun for me like a human umbrella. Chuanxia, you don't have to. It's fine. I've got thick skin, I'm used to the sun. Here, drink some water, I said. My water bottle was in her hands. I took a sip and made her drink too. Something warm flickered across Chuanxia's face. Such a small thing, but it clearly meant the world to her. By the time we finished those 20 li, everyone was half dead. Gu Jing was the first to collapse. He dropped onto a dirt mound by the road, gasping for air, sweat pouring down his face. He didn't care about looking cool anymore. I bet he was regretting that white shirt. Shinrao looked even worse, pale as paper, lips drained of color, barely able to stand. Even then, she made sure to lean against a tree instead of sitting on the ground, always keeping up appearances. The other sent-down youth weren't much better, sprawled out everywhere. Chuanxia was the only one who seemed fine. She was sweaty but breathing steady, and she still had a free hand to support me. My legs felt like they were filled with lead. Every step made my muscles shake. If Chuanxia hadn't been half carrying me the whole way, I would have given up halfway. Old Li jumped off the ox cart, looked at us city kids, and shook his head. Tired already? You've got a long road ahead. This is Hepin Village. From now on, this is where you'll live and work. Everyone's hearts sank when they saw it. We'd all prepared ourselves mentally, but the reality was worse than anything we'd imagined. The village was even more run down than the town we'd passed through. Nothing but low mud brick houses with thatched roofs, a few with dark tiles. The roads were pure dirt, full of potholes, and the smell hit you right away. One of the girls, Zhou Xiaomei, looked devastated. How can anyone live here? I wasn't thinking about that. What worried me more was something else. What were my real parents like? Would they welcome me? We followed the ox cart into the village. Some women resting under a tree stopped what they were doing and stared at us, whispering about how we didn't look like we could do any real work. Old Lee parked the cart under a big locust tree and pulled out a sheet of paper for us to register. When it was my turn, I signed my name and then asked him something that had been on my mind the whole trip. Uncle Lee, I'm looking for my family. My father is Su Dachuan. My mother is Zhou Jinhua. I'd been repeating those names in my head the entire journey. Old Lee's jaw dropped.
What?
You're Dachuan's. Before he could finish, someone had already run off shouting. Su Dachuan's real daughter is back. She's here. The news spread through half the village in seconds. The women nearby started whispering. That's the girl who is living the good life in the city. She's so fair-skinned, like a painting. I heard she never wanted to come back. Well, no matter how nice someone else's home is, it's not your own. Some of the bolder ones came up and asked me directly why I'd come. I kept calm and told them I'd always wanted to come back, but I'd been sick recently, and it delayed things. I introduced myself politely, calling them all Andy, and asking them to just call me Zhao Zhao. Then I gave each of them a handful of sunflower seeds. They'd all heard the story about me and Jingmei being switched. It was the village's favorite piece of gossip. They'd assumed I was some ungrateful girl who didn't care about her real family. But meeting me in person seemed to change their minds. On the other side of the village, my birth parents, Su Dachuan and Zhou Jinhua, were working in the fields, bent over the earth under the blazing sun. When someone came running and screaming that their daughter had come back, my mother dropped her hoe so fast it nearly landed on her foot. She stood frozen for 2 seconds, then took off running toward the village entrance. She was going so fast she tripped on a rock and almost fell, but she didn't stop. Jinhua, slow down, my father shouted, chasing after her. They ran faster than rabbits, stumbling over the bumpy dirt road. 3 months ago, they'd come to the city to see me. They found Su's father and only got to look at me from a distance. My mother told me later that one glance was enough to break her heart. I was her flesh and blood, the daughter she'd carried for 10 months. She wanted desperately to bring me home, but Su's father told them I was too sickly for the countryside and asked them to wait. She went home and cried for days. They'd planned to come get me once 3 months were up, but now here I was. I'd come to them instead. When my mother reached the village entrance, a crowd had already gathered around me. She only needed one look. Her tears poured out instantly. There was no mistake. I was her daughter. I saw her too. Zhou Jinhua, my birth mother. She wore patched-up clothes. Her face was rough from years of sun and wind, deep wrinkles carved around her eyes. She was staring at me with tears already spilling over. Behind her stood a dark-skinned man, with his lips pressed tight, looking stern. But the way he looked at me was gentle. These were my real parents. On the road, I'd rehearsed so many things to say. But standing right in front of them, my throat locked up. I couldn't get a single word out. What was I supposed to say? I'm home? But this place had never been my home. They didn't even know me, and I'd only ever seen them in that dream. So I just stood there. My mother walked toward me step by step, tears streaming down her face. When she reached me, she pulled me straight into her arms. Zhao Zhao. Her voice cracked. I was wrapped in warmth. It felt so comfortable. I wondered how she knew my name. The Su family must have told her.
Zhao Zhao.
You're back. I felt wetness on my shoulder. She was sobbing. Something inside me ached in a way I couldn't describe. I didn't want her to cry. I reached up and patted her back. Back is good. Back is good. She kept repeating. My father stood to the side, watching us awkwardly.
You're
back. Was the trip tiring? His voice was rough and clumsy, but his eyes were overflowing with care. I shook my head slightly, my cheek pressed against my mother's clothes. Before meeting them, I'd been so nervous, afraid they wouldn't like me or wouldn't want me. But now I could feel their love. It was real. In the Su family, I'd felt care too. Mom Su had hugged me before, but this was different. My blood was boiling, my heart pounding in my chest. Something deeper was connecting. My mother cried even harder. I was the one comforting her. My father turned away and quietly wiped his eyes. Old Lee had recovered from his surprise. Dachuan, this really is your daughter. Yes, yes, my father nodded over and over. All right then. She's technically a sent-down youth, so she should stay at the youth housing. But since she's your daughter. Oldley looked at my mother. My daughter is coming home with us, she said firmly. Eyes still red. Oldley agreed and told them to take me home while he led the other youth to their quarters. I caught Chunxia watching me with worried eyes. I gave her a small nod to let her know I was okay. My mother let go of the hug, but kept my hand locked in hers. You must be hungry. Let's go home. Mom will cook for you. I pointed at my luggage on the ox cart. Mom, that's my stuff. The second she heard me call her Mom, energy surged through her whole body.
Don't worry about it.
Your dad will get it. My father was already there, loading everything onto his back and into his hands. I felt bad standing there empty-handed. Dad, let me carry something. Dad's got plenty of strength. My mother held my hand as we walked. My father followed behind with all the bags. Every time we passed someone in the village, she introduced me without even being asked. Just one sentence. This is my daughter. My father didn't say a word, but he walked with his back straight as a board, smiling on that dark, weathered face of his. After about 15 minutes, we stopped at a small courtyard. When the gate opened, I saw a mud brick house with yellow earth walls and a thatched roof. The yard was small, packed dirt ground, a simple shed on the left side with farm tools and firewood. My mother was watching my face nervously. She was scared I'd look disgusted. Scared I'd regret coming. Scared I'd feel cheated. What I was actually thinking was whether this house could survive a heavy rainstorm. Once I had enough money and time, I'd fix it up. She led me into a room. It was brighter than I expected. The dirt floor was swept perfectly clean. There was an old wooden table, a stool, and a cabinet with most of its paint chipped off. This was Jingmei's room. After she left, I cleaned it all up, just in case you came back someday. It's not much. Once Mom saves up some money, I'll get you a new bed, a new cabinet. I shook my head. Mom, you don't need to. This is really nice. I meant it. The room was simple, but spotless. The south-facing window let in plenty of sunlight, making the whole space feel warm and bright. It was spacious enough that once I picked up a few things from town, it would look completely different. And the most important thing? I was alive. My mother's eyes went red again. Mom knows what kind of life you had in the city. We've let you down. They'd been so afraid I wouldn't come back. And even if I hadn't, they said they wouldn't have blamed me. As long as I was living well, that would be enough for them. They only blamed themselves for not being able to give me more, for letting someone switch their baby in the first place. Mom, I'm not suffering at all. This is really nice, truly. I meant it. I'd been terrified they wouldn't want me, or that they'd think I couldn't compare to Jingmei, the girl they actually raised. My mother wiped her tears and suddenly remembered something. Wait here, sweetheart. She rushed out and came back in less than a minute, holding a small cloth bundle. She opened it in front of me. Inside were a dozen or so red dates, small, some shriveled, covered in a thin layer of dust.
Eat these.
They're good for a girl's health. Her eldest son had given them to her. She'd been saving them to cook into porridge for the whole family. But now her daughter was here, so they were mine. She noticed the dust and started fussing. Oh, look at me being silly. They're dirty. Let me wash them. I grabbed the edge of her sleeve, picked up a date, and ate it without washing or wiping it.
Sweet.
Fragrant. So good. I held one up to her mouth. Mom, you have one too. She shook her head immediately. Mom's not hungry. I don't even like these. I just held the date there and looked at her. She finally gave in and opened her mouth. I could see the sweetness hit her like a wave. Her eyes went soft and watery all over again. Up close, I could see how rough her skin was, how deep the wrinkles ran around her eyes, the white hairs at her temples. She was only 45. Zhao Zhao, she asked quietly, these past years, were you treated well over there? Really well, I said. I didn't mention the dream. I didn't mention Su's father switching our fates on purpose. I had no proof anyway. I just told her I'd been sick recently, recovered, and when the chance to go to the countryside came up, I took it. She made me promise 3 times that I was truly healthy before she let it go. Then she told me to rest while she cooked dinner. Okay, I said, being as obedient as I could. She walked to the door, turned back one more time, and said, "If you need anything, just call Mom. I'm right in the kitchen." The door closed softly. I sat on the bed and ran my hand over the blanket. It was new, a brand new bedsheet. For this family, that must have cost a lot. I lay down and closed my eyes. The red birthmark on my chest felt warm. I was really home. I wasn't pushed into a river. I wasn't drowned. My parents loved me. They'd been thinking about me all along. I couldn't help wondering, if the dream version of me had come here sooner, how different would things have been? I entered the system space. Congratulations, host. Goodwill points, 112. 003 sounded a bit perkier than usual. I told it not to notify me for every small increase, only when there was a big jump. But wait, how did I get so many so fast? Your parents each contributed 50 Goodwill points. That explained it. 003, pull up that shopping screen again. Show me only the things I can actually buy. The glowing display appeared. Towels, toothbrushes, toothpaste, enamel basins, face cream, seeds, shoes. Useful, but boring. I could buy all of this with regular money and ration tickets. Got anything better? Something that improves skin or health. My mother was only 45 but looked much older. If I could find something to help her body recover, that would be perfect. 003 refreshed the screen. This time the items caught my eye: soothing serums, anti-aging essences, moisturizers, whitening serums, herbal tonics, immunity protein powder. I had no idea what half of these were, but the packaging alone screamed expensive. And the prices confirmed it. Each one cost over 50 Goodwill points. 003, can you give me a discount? I really can't. These are already the cheapest. Maybe try the book section. A new page appeared with all kinds of books. Super delicious home cooking, 30 points. Anti-inflammatory diet, 38 points. History of grain, 25 points. High EQ romance guide, 25 points. Comperta of Materia Medica, 120 points. The Yellow Emperor's Classic, 125 points. Basics of Traditional Chinese Medicine, 120 points. Are you kidding me? The things I actually wanted were way too expensive, and the affordable stuff seemed useless. Keep working hard, host. Once you buy a book, the knowledge goes straight into your brain, like you studied it for years. Some skills still need practice to master, but you'll have the knowledge instantly. I believe in you, host. Something about the way 003 said that lit a fire inside me.
Fine.
I'll work hard. I spotted one book I could afford. Wild Vegetable Identification and Eating Guide, 24 points. It was summer, and the mountains would be full of wild plants. If I could learn to identify and pick them, I could help feed the family instead of just eating through our supplies. I was about to decide when I heard noises outside. I snapped out of the space immediately and opened my eyes. Before sunset, my 3 brothers came home. I was resting in my room, but I could hear everything through the thin walls. The eldest was Su Zhengwo, steady, quiet, the responsible type. The second was Su Jianya, loud, blunt, and clearly the one with the most opinions. The youngest was little Dong Dong, who couldn't have been more than 5 or 6. They hadn't even stepped through the gate when they smelled the food. Zhengwo thought it was cured meat. Jianya insisted there was chicken too. Little Dong Dong perked right up and whispered that he wanted meat. He hadn't had any in so long. Mom shushed them and pulled them into the kitchen. I could picture Jianya's face when he saw the spread: thick slices of cured pork glistening with fat, and a pot of chicken soup bubbling on the stove. For this family, that was a New Year's feast, not a regular dinner. They'd barely survived a drought a few years back. Mom measured food portions like she was using a scale. So killing the family's egg-laying hen and cooking the pork they'd been saving for the new year? That was a big deal. Jianya couldn't hold back. Mom, what's the occasion? Are we going broke? Then his eyes drifted to Mom's stomach, and he made the mistake of asking if she was pregnant again. I heard the smack from my room. Mom's palm connecting with the back of his head. What kind of nonsense is in that brain of yours? Then she told them. Your sister's back. Dead silence. Jianya's first reaction was dread. He thought she meant Jingmei. Apparently Jingmei had been a nightmare when she lived here. Lazy, scheming, always crying or threatening to hurt herself to get her way. When the family found out she'd been switched at birth, Jianya practically wanted to set off firecrackers. Not Jingmei. Mom smacked him again.
Zhao Zhao.
Your real sister, Su Zhao Zhao. Both brothers froze. Dong Dong saw his brothers freeze, so he froze too. Their real sister? The one raised in the rich family? Dad spoke up, calmer than I'd ever heard him. He told them I was resting after days on the train. Then he started describing me, pretty as a painting, well-behaved, kind, generous, obedient. My father, the man who apparently never strung more than 2 sentences together, suddenly couldn't stop talking. Jianya was skeptical. Dad, are you describing an actual human being? Mom raised her spatula like a weapon. You better be nice to your sister. She's new here. She doesn't know anyone. If you make her unhappy, you make me unhappy. Dad backed her up instantly. And if you make your mother unhappy, you make me unhappy. The brothers went outside to wash their hands at the well. I could hear Jianya grumbling to Zheng Wo. He was worried I'd be like Jingmei, or worse, since I'd been raised rich for 18 years. He stared at the now empty chicken coop. Day 1, and the family's hen was already gone. Zheng Wo just said quietly, Mom and Dad are happy. That seemed to settle it. Everyone could see how much Mom had been hurting these past 3 months, missing her real daughter. Now I was here, and she was happy enough to sacrifice their best food. But Jianya was still uneasy. Jingmei had given him a deep fear of having a sister. Then little Dong Dong tugged at Jianya's pants leg, looking up with big scared eyes. Is it the sister who's back? My heart ached hearing that. Apparently Jingmei had been nice to Dong Dong in front of the family, but bullied him, bossed him around, and even cursed at him behind their backs. The poor kid was terrified of getting another sister like that. Jianya knelt down and rubbed Dong Dong's head. It's a different sister. But no matter which sister it is, your second brother is here. Nobody's going to bully you. Dong Dong nodded, trusting his brother completely. Then his little stomach growled. Dong Dong is hungry. It smells so good. When can we eat? Jianya laughed and pinched his cheek.
Soon.
Come on, let's go inside. Mom called me out for dinner in the sweetest voice I'd ever heard. I could practically feel my brothers straighten up on the other side of the door. When I walked out holding Mom's hand, 3 pairs of eyes locked onto me at once. Under the dim yellow light, I got my first real look at them. Mom introduced everyone. Zheng Wo, my eldest brother, was 25, strong and quiet, the one who fixed everything around the house. Jianya, my second brother, was 20, good-looking with a sharp tongue, according to Mom. And little Dong Dong had just turned 5. None of them were married, not even close to having a girlfriend. Then Mom introduced me to them, making it very clear they'd better treat me well and protect me from anyone who might bully me. I smiled and said, Big brother, second brother Dong Dong. Nice to meet you. We're family now. Zheng Wo managed an awkward hey. Jianya gave a stiff nod. I could tell he was trying hard not to warm up to me too fast. He was probably comparing me to Jingmei in his head. Little Dong Dong chewed on his finger, too shy to look at me, and whispered, Hi, sister. Then we ate. The farmhouse chicken was incredible, tender, fragrant, fall off the bone delicious. Mom piled my bowl with the drumstick and the meatiest pieces before I could even pick up my chopsticks. Eat up, Zhao Zhao. There's more. She was only giving the good stuff to me. Everyone else had to fend for themselves. The boys got cornbread and thin porridge. Dong Dong had 1 corn bun and half a bowl of porridge. Meanwhile, I was eating a white flour steamed bun, a luxury in this era when nobody had enough food. I looked at their bowls, then at mine, and my face burned. I was eating better than a 5-year-old. Mom noticed me hesitating. This food is for you. Your brothers don't mind, and they won't argue about it. They all nodded. I could tell they meant it. Normally their dinner was pickled vegetables with porridge, or just cornbread with pickles. Tonight they had actual meat, even if just a bite or 2. They were already thrilled. I picked up a piece of chicken from my bowl and put it in Mom's. Mom, you eat too. Her eyes went soft. My sweet girl, so thoughtful. She grabbed a bony piece from the pot instead. You eat yours. There's plenty. Then she turned to the boys. See how caring your sister is? She's my little warm jacket. You boys are all just leaky coats letting the cold in. Janya kept his mouth shut. Smart move, any comment right now would earn him another smack. But I noticed him watching me. I could tell he was thinking that I was different from Jingmei. Apparently Jingmei never shared a single grain of rice with anyone, let alone meat from her own bowl. I couldn't finish everything. My stomach wasn't used to eating much at night. I split my remaining steamed bun between Mom and Dad. Mom, please just eat it. I'm full. It'll go bad in this heat if we save it. Both my parents' eyes turned red. Their daughter didn't look down on them. Their daughter shared food with them. They looked at me like I was the greatest thing that ever happened to them. Then I noticed little Dong Dong across the table, cheeks flushed, staring at the chicken in my bowl with those big, hopeful eyes. He'd only eaten one tiny piece the whole meal. The rest he'd given up because the men of the house needed energy to work. He'd convinced himself he was full. But seeing that chicken, his stomach clearly disagreed. I could see the fear in his eyes, too. Would this new sister hit him for wanting more? That's what Jingmei used to do. I picked up the chicken and put it in his bowl, without a second thought. Eat up, Dong Dong. He looked at Mom, checking if it was okay. If your sister gives it to you, eat it while it's warm, Mom said. Thank you, sister. You're so nice. His whole face lit up. This new sister was so much better than the old one. I could tell Dong Dong had already decided he liked me. Jianya watched his little brother's heart fly across the table to my side, and I could almost hear him thinking, well, that kid's gone. Then 003's voice rang in my head. Goodwill point 78. My heart nearly exploded. 78 points in one dinner? I had to keep my face calm at the table, but inside I was screaming. Tonight, once everyone was asleep, I'd figure out exactly where all those points came from. After dinner, night had fully settled in. I stood in the yard, feeling the cool summer breeze, but my clothes were sticky with sweat and 2 days' worth of train smell. Before I could even ask about bathing, Mom read my mind. Want a bath, sweetheart? She smiled and called out to Janya to boil a pot of water. While I waited, I sat in the yard and looked up. The countryside sky was completely different from the city. Stars everywhere, bright and clear, with crickets chirping all around. Jangwo was chopping firewood nearby, shirtless, sweat running down his muscular back. I watched him for a while, and my eyes drifted to his legs. Something was off. His left leg hit the ground heavier than his right, dragging just slightly with each step. He was limping. Was he injured? I wanted to ask, but worried about touching a sore spot. Then I noticed a small figure peeking out from the doorway. Dong Dong was watching me, wanting to come closer, but too nervous. I smiled and waved him over. Dong Dong. That was all the encouragement he needed. He ran over on his short little legs. Sister. Good boy, Dong Dong. His eyes went round. Nobody had praised him like that. I asked him gently about Jangwo's leg. It was the bad sister's fault, he said. I froze. You're the good sister. The bad sister did it. Bad sister. He meant Jingmei. The same Jingmei who told everyone she'd suffer nonstop in this house. Clearly, some of that was lies. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a white rabbit candy, placing it in Dong Dong's palm. A present for being so good. His eyes went huge. He'd had candy once before, a year ago during the New Year, when Jangwo found one somewhere and popped it in his mouth. He still remembered the taste. He swallowed hard but shook his head. I won't eat it. Sister should have it. My heart ached. This child was so obedient it hurt. So small, yet already trained to deny himself. I have more. This one is yours. If you don't take it, I'll be upset. He didn't eat it right away. He carefully tucked it into his pocket, pressing down to make sure it was safe. He wanted to save it for later, for a day when there was nothing else to eat. My nose stung. I pulled him closer and rubbed his head. Candy melts if you keep it too long. Then it's gone forever. Eat it now, okay? Finally, he unwrapped it and put it in his mouth. He kept the wrapper in his pocket. Sweet? I asked. He nodded hard. Super sweet. Then Janya shouted from the kitchen that the water was ready. Mom filled a bucket and took me to the small bathing room, a tiny space with steam rising off a big wooden tub. She tested the water temperature and mixed in some cool water until it was just right. She rolled up her sleeves, ready to help me bathe. I went red. Mom, I can wash myself. What's there to be shy about? She looked almost offended. I'm 17, Mom, she sighed, a little disappointed. Her baby had grown up. But she compromised. She'd at least wash my hair. While she worked her hands through my hair, we talked, and I asked about Jingwo's leg. Her mood dropped instantly. That was about a year ago. Jingmei went to play on the mountain and disappeared for half a day. Your brother went looking for her and found her stuck in a hunting pit. He pulled her out, but fell in himself. My chest tightened. The pit was full of sharp rocks. His leg got cut open so deep you could see bone. But Jingmei, she panicked and ran home by herself. She didn't tell anyone. Didn't call for help. Nothing. By the time we realized your brother was missing and went searching, it was already dark. When we found him, he'd lost so much blood he was unconscious. She didn't come back to get help. I could barely believe it. Going up a mountain at night was dangerous enough. There could be wild animals. No. Mom's tears dripped onto my forehead. Your father begged someone to carry your brother to the clinic. The doctor said they'd brought him too late. The wound was infected and the bone didn't set properly. She wiped her face roughly. Now, every time it rains or gets cold, his leg hurts terribly. But he still has to go work in the fields. No work points. No work points, no food. She blamed herself, said they were useless parents. Back then, she didn't know Jingmei wasn't her real daughter. She couldn't understand how a child she'd raised could be so heartless. Now she understood. Jingmei was never truly part of this family. Forget it, let's not talk about this. Mom sniffed and poured clean water over my hair.
You're home now.
That's what matters. From now on, our family sticks together and makes a good life. She toweled my hair dry and told me not to worry about cleaning up after my bath. She'd take care of everything. After my bath, I tried to wash my own dirty clothes, but Mom had already snatched them away and told me to go to bed. By now the whole village was asleep. Our house had 3 rooms, one for my parents, one for the 3 brothers, and one for me. My bed wasn't as comfortable as the one I'd had at the Sioux house, but my heart felt more settled than it had in a long time. I was about to enter the system space when I heard voices through the thin wall next door. Little Dong Dong was telling his brothers how much he liked me. I'm waking up early tomorrow to pick wild berries on the mountain for sister. Janya wasn't convinced. You got bought off that easily? But Dong Dong didn't care about complicated things. He just knew I was nice. I gave him meat. I rubbed his head. I gave him candy. And I promised more candy later. When sister gives me more, I'll share with you and big brother, he said. Then he asked the question that squeezed my heart. Will sister stay? She won't leave, right? Jianya was still suspicious. He figured I gave Dong Dong meat because I couldn't finish it, or that I was being nice now just to take advantage of them later. He told himself he was the smartest person in this family and wouldn't be fooled. Dong Dong fell asleep fast. Kids don't carry heavy thoughts to bed. Then Jianya whispered to Jingwo in the dark. Big brother, if we keep eating like tonight, can our food last even a week? He had a point. Normally each person got 1 corn bun for dinner. Tonight Mom had added porridge and used up their stored food just because of me. The only chicken was gone. Even if they stretched the leftovers, it wouldn't last long. Jianya wanted to talk to Mom about it, but was afraid of getting smacked. He tried to push Jingwo to do it instead, but Jingwo dodged too. Apparently, they were both scared of Mom. I heard almost everything through those paper-thin walls. They probably had no idea the sound carried so well. They were right to worry. This family was poor, and I'd just added another mouth to feed. But I'd prepared for this. I had plenty of grain stored in the space. Rice, flour, corn. Not luxury food, but enough to keep us from starving. 003 chimed in. Host, you still have me? I smiled. That's right. I've got you, 003. I entered the space and checked my balance. 190 goodwill points. But then 003 hit me with the bad news. Each person could only give a maximum of 50 points at once, and after their total contribution, past 100, it became extremely hard to earn more from them, just a point or 2 at best. So, I couldn't just keep farming goodwill for my family forever. That door was already closing.
Fine. No shortcuts.
I'd have to earn points the hard way for more people. I thought about what we needed most. For men and 2 women in this house, and tonight nobody had eaten their fill. My stored food would only last so long. I needed to plan ahead. I bought the Wild Vegetable Identification and Eating Guide, 24 points. That left me 166. Then I thought about Jangwo's leg. From what Mom told me and what Dong Dong hinted at, the injury was serious. Bone hadn't healed right, possibly misaligned. I asked 003 to recommend books. 3 options appeared. Bone and joint injuries, 80 points. Practical orthopedics, 80 points. Acupuncture therapy, 80 points. I couldn't afford to blow everything at once. After thinking it over, I chose acupuncture therapy. Balance, 86 points. The book landed in my hands. 003 told me to flip through it once from cover to cover. I did it in 3 seconds flat, and suddenly, every single thing in that book was in my brain. I closed my eyes and the knowledge just appeared, crystal clear. My eyes went wide. This was incredible. If I'd had 003 during school, I never would have had to study a day in my life. With my mind finally at ease, I lay down and fell asleep instantly. Through the wall, I could hear my parents' room too. Mom was too happy to sleep. She kept asking Dad, "I'm not dreaming, right? Our daughter really came back." Dad was fighting to stay awake.
Yes.
"She's back. Now please sleep." Then Mom sighed. Their rice jar was almost empty. How would they manage? Dad said he'd go get back the 5 yuan his younger brother had owed them for years. Mom had been nagging him about it forever, but Dad was too proud to ask. Mom told him straight he'd better do it this time. Their daughter couldn't go hungry. He was her father after all. "I'll do it," Dad said. "I promise." Meanwhile, over at the youth housing, things weren't going well either. The place was basically a crumbling mud shack. Walls peeling, roof barely holding on, window paper torn, wind howling through the gaps. 2 rooms, one for the guys, one for the girls, with bare wooden plank beds and thin straw mats. Miserable. Nobody had cooked dinner, so everyone ate whatever dry food they'd brought. Shinra was chewing on a rock-hard corn cake made with bran. It tasted moldy and crumbled in her mouth. She was on the verge of tears. She noticed Chuanxia eating fried rice puffs and the candy I'd given her on the train. Much better food. Shinro tried her old trick, giving Chuanxia that look, the one that used to make Chuanxia hand things over. But Chuanxia didn't even lift her head. Shinro coughed until she nearly choked. Nothing. So Shinro switched tactics, chatting up the other 2 girls, Lin Xiao and Liang Xian, trying to figure out if she could pull them to her side or if she'd need to sabotage them later. But the girls were too tired to talk much, and the conversation died fast. Then Shinro tried one more thing. She turned to Chuanxia and said in her caring little voice, "You know, Zhao Zhao's real parents are from this village. Did she tell you that?" She went straight to them without even saying goodbye to you. "Are you sure she really sees you as a friend?" Chuanxia sat up and glared at her. "Are you done? What I give Zhao Zhao is my business. Keep your opinions to yourself. You're keeping everyone awake with your yapping." Shinro was stunned silent. The old Chuanxia would have listened. But this new Chuanxia didn't care about Gu Jing anymore, and Shinro's manipulation had lost its power. The next morning, before dawn, our house was jolted awake by a crash from the kitchen. "Was that a thief?" Dad jumped up. Grain theft was a real problem. Last year, half the village's corn disappeared overnight. Jianya was faster, already charging toward the kitchen with a hoe. Jangwo was right behind him. All 3 men crowded into the tiny kitchen like mountains. But it was just Mom, standing in front of the rice jar, back turned to them. Before anyone could speak, she reached over and pinched Dad's arm. Hard.
Ow.
"What was that for?" Then she pinched Jianya.
Mom.
"That hurts." Jangwo quietly stepped back half a pace. "Does it hurt?" she asked. "Yes," Dad and Jianya said together.
Good.
"Then I'm not dreaming." She stepped aside and pointed at the rice jar. "Look." All 3 of them leaned in and froze. The jar was more than half full of beautiful white rice. Each grain was plump and shiny, better quality than anything they'd ever grown. Dad rubbed his eyes. Jianya scooped up a handful and let it run through his fingers. Jangwo touched it too. It was real. Mom, what happened? I have no idea. I came in this morning to scrape together the last bit of rice for breakfast, and the jar that was nearly empty yesterday is suddenly full. Jianya circled the jar, checked the floor around it.
Clean.
No footprints, no signs of anything. This is creepy, he muttered. Dad had a different theory. Maybe heaven is blessing us. Mom jumped on that. It must be because our Zhao Zhao came home. Heaven is rewarding our family. Jianya gave them both a look. He loved his parents, but come on. Jangwo brought everyone back to earth. There's no such thing as free food falling from the sky, Jianya added, and even if there were, it wouldn't fall on us. Mom and Dad went quiet. Then Jangwo said the thing that made the whole kitchen go cold. What if the rice is poisoned? Everyone's face changed. He was right. Beautiful rice appearing out of nowhere in your jar? What if someone put it there on purpose? Poisoned grain had killed people before. That thought hung in the air like a dark cloud. Dad wanted to cook some of the mystery rice and taste test it himself. If it was poisoned, better him than anyone else. Jianya jumped in, saying he should be the one since he was young and tough. Jangwo argued the same. Mom just wanted to throw it all away. Lives mattered more than rice. They were still arguing when I appeared in the kitchen doorway. What's going on? Mom looked worried. Zhao Zhao, did we wake you? I slept great. Not tired at all. Dong Dong tugged on my sleeve and pointed at the rice jar with pure excitement. Sister, we have rice. So much rice. Before anyone could explain their poison theory, I glanced at the jar and said casually, "Oh, that." I brought it. 5 pairs of eyes locked onto me. So it wasn't heaven blessing them. It was me. I'd snuck the rice in last night after everyone was asleep. Before they could process that, I walked over to an old cabinet and opened it. There's more in here. They all crowded around and stared. Inside was a plump cloth sack of white flour, at least 20 jin. In Hepin village, white flour was practically a treasure. Most families only saw it during holidays or weddings. The rest of the year it was cornmeal, sorghum, and wild vegetables mixed with bran. Mom's voice was shaking. You brought this too? Yeah. To make it believable, I turned to Dad. Didn't you notice my luggage was really heavy yesterday? Dad paused, trying to remember. He'd been so happy he hadn't paid attention to anything. But now that I mentioned it, yeah, it was very heavy. Mom immediately closed the cabinet. Zhao Zhao, save these for yourself. But I didn't bring all this food just for me. Mom, if we eat together. We're family. If you won't eat it, then I won't either. Whatever you eat, I eat. Mom's tears came pouring out again. Dad's eyes went red too. Mom turned to the boys, spatula in hand.
You all saw this.
You heard her. Your sister is willing to share her good food with all of us. If any of you dare treat her badly or bully her, I will deal with you myself. Jianya was the fastest to respond. He practically tripped over his own words. Mom, don't worry. From today on, Zhao Zhao is my real sister. If anyone touches a single hair on her head, I, Su Jianya, will be the first one to step up. Jangwo, who had heard Jianya complaining about me just last night, stared at him in disbelief. Jangwo said simply, Mom, I'll be good to her. Little Dong Dong puffed up his chest. I'll protect sister too. Mom told me to go rest while she cooked. Before I left, I reminded her to make plenty. Enough for everyone to eat their fill. People need full stomachs to have strong bodies and strong bodies to do more work and earn more money. Mom agreed. But I could picture her at the rice jar, scooping out one bowl, then a second, then starting a third with trembling hands. 3 bowls of white rice, enough to make thin porridge with wild vegetables for 2 or 3 days. In the past, she would have split a single grain in half if she could. But she remembered what I said and filled that 3rd bowl all the way. When I went to wash my face, Jianya practically flew across the yard to help me. Sister, let me. I got it. He filled the basin, set it down on a flat surface, and grinned at me with all his teeth showing. Don't ever be polite with your second brother. What a change from yesterday. I caught Jangwo watching from the side with a small smile. Jianya noticed too, and looked a little embarrassed. I'm pretty sure he was silently praying I hadn't heard his complaints through the wall last night. When breakfast was ready, everyone sat down to bowls of thick, creamy rice porridge. They swallowed hard just looking at it. Last night they'd been panicking about running out of food, and now here was the best porridge they'd ever seen, thick, fragrant, with a side of greens and pickled vegetables. I had an extra bowl of steamed egg custard in front of me. Nobody complained. Their sister brought the rice, so a bowl of egg custard was nothing. Mom took a sip of porridge and closed her eyes. Delicious. So delicious. Then she snapped back to mom mode. Now eat up, all of you. And after breakfast, you'd better work hard enough to deserve this rice. Everyone ate until they were full, really full. Maybe for the first time in a long time. Then the men grabbed their hoes and marched off to work with their heads held high and their stomachs finally satisfied. Mom had to go work in the fields, so before leaving she told Dong Dong to stick with me and protect me from bullies. I wanted to point out that Dong Dong barely reached my knee. Who was protecting whom here? Mom, I want to go visit a friend. The girl from the train, Lu Chuanxia. She took care of me the whole way. Without her, my legs would have given out. I want to check on her. Mom offered to walk me there, but I told her I'd be fine on my own. She left with Dong Dong, who looked sad to leave me. I pinched his skinny little cheek. Be good and stay with Mom. Once everyone was gone, I went to my room and pulled 2 steaming hot meat buns out of the space. I'd bought them before leaving the city, and just like 003 promised, they came out exactly as they went in, piping hot. I didn't share these with the family. Not because I was stingy, but because I couldn't explain how meat buns stayed hot for days in summer heat. For Chuanxia, it was easier. I could just say I'd bought them this morning. Chuanxia was a sent-down youth eating communal food, which probably meant she had barely anything. She'd shared her precious almond cookies with me on the train without a second thought. 2 buns was the least I could do. The moment I stepped outside, I was swarmed. Hey, you're Dachuan's city daughter, right? So pretty, like a painting. Is Jingmei coming back? I didn't know any of these people, so I just smiled and kept walking. I got lost, of course, but a kind old man with a hoe pointed me in the right direction. Walk straight. See that crooked locust tree?
Turn right.
The 2 most rundown houses, that's the place. He squinted at me. You're Su Dachuan's girl, aren't you? Word traveled fast in this village. Everyone already knew who I was. I found the youth housing and peeked inside the yard. A few people were washing up, but no Chuanxia. I didn't want to talk to Shinro, so I asked another girl named Lin Xiao instead. She pointed inside. Chuanxia was making her bed. The second Chuanxia heard my voice. She came charging out.
Zhao Zhao.
You came to see me. Her enthusiasm was almost overwhelming. 003 pinged. Goodwill 7. Let's talk somewhere private, I said. We walked to a big elm tree nearby, its thick shade blocking the sun. I pulled out the oil paper bundle and handed it to her. She opened it, and her eyes went wide. 2 white, steaming meat buns. You probably haven't eaten yet. These are for you. 003 pinged again. Goodwill 7. Total 100. 14 points from 2 buns. Not bad at all. Chuanxia looked at the buns, then at me, and her eyes turned red.
Zhao Zhao.
You didn't have to. Then I told her the thing that had been weighing on me. I didn't tell you on the train that my birth parents live here. There were too many people around, and I was worried it would cause unnecessary trouble if the wrong person heard. Are you mad? Chuanxia shook her head hard. Not at all. You were right to be careful. You never know who might cause problems. She threw her arms around me and squeezed tight. I'm just so happy you came to see me. She tried to pay me for the buns, offering money, grain tickets, whatever I needed. I stopped her hand. You don't owe me anything. But if you insist, think of it as credit. I'll come collect when I need something. Deal. She bit into a bun, and her whole face lit up as the meat juice burst to her mouth. This is the best bun I've ever had. I asked if she was having any problems here.
She grinned. I'm fine.
I'm not made of dough. I've got strength to spare. If everyone else can handle it, so can I. We chatted and laughed under the elm tree. From a distance, I could see Shinro watching, gritting her teeth. She couldn't even get hot water this morning, and here was Chuanxia eating meat buns. After Chuanxia went back inside, Shinro was waiting. She put on her sweet face and asked what I'd wanted, then commented in that innocent tone of hers. I noticed she was eating buns. Nobody else has had anything. That seems a little unfair, don't you think? The other youth perked up at the word buns. They hadn't even had plain steamed bread. But Chuanxia shut it down instantly. What I eat is none of your business. Did I eat your rice? Stop staring at other people's food like a shameless beggar. Not everyone is as nosy as you. Shinro's chest heaved with anger, but she kept her mask on. She couldn't afford to break character. When Gu Jing came outside, all he saw was Shinro running away crying and Chuanxia standing in the yard looking satisfied. Without a second thought, he glared at Chuanxia. Why do you always have to bully Shinro? Then he ran after his precious little rabbit. Chuanxia's verdict: 2 lunatics. After leaving the youth housing, I walked along the shady paths. It was still early and everyone was out working in the fields. No point going home to sit alone. I remembered the wild vegetable book I'd bought from 003. Maybe I could head up the mountain and look for edible plants. Even if I didn't find any, I could use Goodwill points to buy food that looked like it came from the mountain. That way nobody at home would ask questions. I walked for about half an hour to reach the foot of the mountain, legs aching. I was about to rest when I spotted a strange figure under a big tree up ahead. The person had their back to me, crouching with their rear in the air, twisting around doing who knows what. Their clothes, if you could call them that, were basically rags hanging off their body. My first thought: homeless person or crazy person. My heart started racing. I held my breath and quietly backed away, planning to take a different path up the mountain. But the instant I turned around, the person spun to face me. Our eyes locked. I froze. He was maybe 20 or so. His hair was long, wild, and tangled like dried grass, nearly covering his eyes. But from what I could see, his features were sharp, high nose bridge, strong jawline. Not bad looking at all. Except those eyes. They stared at me like a wolf's, cold, intense, unblinking. Then my face went completely red. His shirt was torn open, half his chest exposed.
And
were those abs? My eyes drifted down before I could stop them. He was in very good shape. I snapped my gaze away. What was wrong with me? This was not the time to be admiring a man's body. I forced a friendly smile and started backing away slowly. 1 step, 2 steps. His eyes never left me. Just a few more steps and I'd bolt. A gust of wind, and suddenly he was right in front of me. Before I could react, 2 strong arms wrapped around me and pulled me tight against his chest. My scream got stuck in my throat. This was insane. Men and women weren't supposed to touch casually, and this stranger was hugging me? His body was hard and burning hot. I could feel every muscle against me. I shoved at him with both hands, but he didn't budge an inch. The sun above, a strange man crushing me against him. I couldn't breathe. In a burst of panic and fury, I slapped him across the face. The crack echoed. Immediately, I regretted it. He was going to kill me. My life was over. I'd just found a family that actually loved me, and now I was going to die at the foot of a mountain because I slapped a madman. My legs turned to jelly. I'm sorry, big brother. You can slap me back, just please let me go. Tears welled up and spilled down my cheeks. What happened next will haunt me forever. He lowered his head, leaned close to my face, and licked the tears off my cheek. I went completely rigid. Did he even brush his teeth? Mouths have bacteria. I started to say, but instead a hiccup burst out of me. My face was on fire. He tilted his head like a confused puppy, staring at me with curious eyes. I was screaming internally. I'd actually encountered a real lunatic. But at least he didn't seem to want to kill me. I needed to stay calm and negotiate. Look, big brother, we can talk this out. What do you want? Money? Food? Clothes? I racked my brain for anything I could offer. Then he spoke. His voice was rough and hoarse. Want a wife? I thought I'd misheard him. Maybe he just couldn't speak clearly. Want what? He looked at me with bright, sparkling eyes, suddenly less like a wolf and more like an eager puppy. Wife. Then he grinned. His teeth were surprisingly white. I was speechless. Wife. He was calling me his wife. This man wasn't just crazy. He was crazy and lonely. Before I could respond, 003's voice went absolutely haywire in my head. Goodwill 100, Goodwill 10, Goodwill 10, Goodwill 10. Congratulations, host. Total gained, 143 points. Current balance, 243, and it was still climbing. Just 1 or 2 points at a time, but it kept going. My mind was exploding with questions. 003 said the maximum from one person was 50 at a time. So how did this maniac just give me 100 in one shot? And after passing 100 total, it was supposed to slow to a trickle, yet he was pumping out 10-point bursts like it was nothing. 003, what's going on? Host, I'm not sure either. Let me ask my boss and get back to you. So even 003 didn't know. Fine. The mystery could wait. Right now, I had a more pressing problem, a half-naked madman who thought I was his wife. Since being rough with this guy clearly wasn't going to work, I tried being gentle. Can you let go of me? Look, your grip is so tight my wrist is all red. It hurts. He froze, looked down at my wrist, and when he saw it really was red, he jerked his hands back like he'd been burned. For a second, he looked genuinely upset. Sorry. Then he picked up my hand and blew on the red mark. It tickled like crazy. I led him to a shady spot. Another minute in that sun, and I'd be cooked alive. He followed half a step behind me the entire way, eyes glued to me like I might vanish. Once we sat down, before I could even think of an escape plan, he dove into a bush, came back with a huge leaf, crouched beside me, and started fanning me. He was dripping with sweat himself, but kept fanning me with complete seriousness. Thank you. My feelings were very complicated. Up close, he didn't seem crazy exactly, more like he was simple, innocent, like a child in a grown man's body. I also noticed the scars. His chest and arms were covered in them. Old white ones, darker newer ones, all shapes and sizes. They looked like fighting scars. And then there was a healed hole right over his heart. Whatever made that wound must have been agonizing. Feeling a pang of sympathy, I pulled out a fruit candy and unwrapped it. Here, it's sweet. He looked at the candy, looked at me, and shook his head.
No, wife. You eat. I sighed. I'm really not your wife.
You've got the wrong person. No, I don't. He was absolutely certain. You're my wife. Apparently he dreamed about me. Every night. He was sure of this face. His wife. End of discussion. Then his stomach growled loud. He rubbed his belly without a hint of embarrassment, reached over, grabbed a handful of wild gray vegetables from the ground, shook off the dirt, and shoved them in his mouth. Stop. Don't eat those raw. Thanks to my new book knowledge, I knew those plants were extremely bitter and needed to be boiled and soaked before eating. It's fine, he said, chewing. Eat enough and you're not hungry. I peeled the candy wrapper and popped it straight into his mouth. His eyes lit up instantly. So sweet. Wife. I reached behind my back and pulled a hot meat bun from the space. Eat this instead. He grabbed it without hesitation, didn't care that it was scalding, and swallowed it in 2 bites. He was starving. Then he looked at his empty hands, then at me. Still hungry. Want more? He nodded. Then you have to listen to me. Deal? He nodded again. I'll listen to wife. First rule, stop calling me wife. I waited for agreement. He pressed his lips together tight and shook his head. I'm not hungry anymore. He'd rather starve than stop calling me wife. I rubbed my temples and compromised.
Fine.
Call me by my name. I'm Su Zhao Zhao. Zhao Zhao? Yes, Zhao Zhao. Wife. It's Su Zhao Zhao. No, wife. After considerable negotiation, he settled on just Zhao Zhao. Not ideal, but better than wife. I kept feeding him buns. He ate 10 entire meat buns. I stared at his stomach, still flat as a board. Where did it all go? When he was done, I stood up and brushed off the dirt. All right, I'm heading up the mountain.
You.
Go do your thing. Zhao Zhao, I'm going too. He perked up. I go to the mountain for food all the time. Having someone who knew the trails wasn't a bad idea, actually.
Fine.
But you listen to me. I listened to Zhao Zhao. I realized I didn't even know his name. I handed him another candy. What's your name? He held the candy carefully in his palm. Shunji. Not bad. Nice sounding name. Are you from this village? He nodded, then shook his head. What did that mean? Never mind. Next question. How old are you? 10. I stared at this full-grown man with abs and battle scars who had just eaten 10 meat buns. Okay, I shouldn't have asked. We hiked for a while until we reached the mountainside. He wanted to keep climbing, but my legs were done. This is far enough. We're stopping here. He obediently came back and stood beside me. I was dying of thirst and hadn't brought water. No river in sight either. 003 reminded me I could buy drinks from the shop. Of course, why didn't I think of that? The drink menu appeared. Purified water, jasmine green tea, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Wanglaji herbal tea, Sprite, bubble milk tea. I'd never seen any of these before. I picked 2 at random, Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Cost, 10 goodwill points. Balance, 233. The moment the bottles appeared in my hands, Shinji immediately squatted down, eyes locked on them. This man was definitely a food lover. This one's yours, this one's mine. I gave him the Pepsi and kept the Coke. I took a sip and nearly cried. What was this magical drink? It was incredible. Shinji, meanwhile, was shaking his bottle like a toy, turning it this way and that. I couldn't watch anymore. Give it here, I'll open it. The second I cracked the cap, cola exploded everywhere, all over both our faces. Shinji, he blinked at me with those big innocent eyes and reached out to wipe my face. I dodged just in time. Sorry, Zhao Zhao. Looking at his pitiful puppy expression, I felt bad for yelling. He was simple-minded. He'd been surviving on raw weeds. Without running into me, he never would have tasted Pepsi in his entire life. It's fine. Just drink it. He took one sip, his eyes went wide, and then he chugged the entire bottle in one go. When he finished, he burped. He wanted more. All gone, I said, tossing his empty bottle into the space. No more. Then I won't drink anymore, he said simply. His logic was beautifully straightforward. Zhao Zhao said no more, so no more. I rolled up my sleeves and pointed Shinji to a shady spot. Sit there and wait. Don't move. He walked over, sat down perfectly straight, and stared at me without blinking. Wherever I moved, his eyes followed. It was like having a human security camera. I gave up trying to fix that and focused on finding food. The forest floor had plenty of marks where villagers had already dug around, but there was still stuff to find. Thanks to the wild vegetable guide now burned into my brain, I could identify anything edible on sight. I found some fresh shepherd's purse pretty quickly, but after a few minutes of bending over, my back was killing me. I needed help. Oh, great and brilliant 003, could you scan the area for edible food? Host, we don't do cheating here. It's not cheating. It's teamwork. It's using your incredible talents. A buzz of static. Since this is the host's first request, 1 assist is granted. Cost, 1 goodwill point. Take it. Balance, 232. Straight ahead under the 3rd tree, a cluster of chicken mushrooms. I ran over. There they were, beautiful gray-brown caps with white stems pushing up through the soil, dozens of them. Then 003 kept going. Porcini mushrooms 10 meters to the left. Pine mushrooms 5 meters southeast. More chicken mushrooms 20 meters north. I was running back and forth like crazy, dropping one thing to grab another. I wanted to pick everything, but hadn't brought a basket. I had to make a cloth bag from a spare shirt in the space. Enough, enough, I finally said. I couldn't carry any more, and I'd have to come back another day for the rest. While I was crouched down picking mushrooms, I suddenly felt someone beside me. Shinji had silently appeared and was copying exactly what I was doing, carefully picking mushrooms. Hey, you can't just grab any mushroom. Some are poisonous. I explained which ones were safe and which weren't. When I realized that might be too complicated for him, I simplified it. Pretty things are poisonous. He nodded like he sort of understood. A little while later, he came back carrying a huge armful of perfect chicken mushrooms. Not a single one damaged. He held them up to me with this enormous, proud grin. All 4. Zhao Zhao. Something in my chest went soft. His hands were covered in dirt, but every mushroom was carefully picked. I waved him over. Come here. Crouch down a bit. He obeyed. I looked at his wild, tangled hair and gathered it up, tying it into a little fountain ponytail on top of his head. With his hair pulled back, his face was fully visible for the first time. Sharp features, high nose bridge, defined jawline. He was genuinely handsome. Better looking than most men I'd ever seen. But with that little ponytail sticking up, he looked more cute than anything. I burst out laughing. He didn't know what was funny, but seeing me laugh made him smile too. It was getting late. At the fork in the path at the bottom of the mountain, I told him, "I'm going home now. You should head back too." He just stood there, dark eyes fixed on me. I started walking. He followed. I took a few more steps. He was right behind me. I had no way to shake him. There was only one option: walk him home first. When we reached his place, I got a shock. His house was made of actual brick and tile. In a village full of mud huts, this was practically a mansion. I'd imagined him living in a cave or a cowshed. Who knew he had the best house around? At least he wouldn't freeze in winter. "Okay, you're home. Now I really need to get back to my family. Zhao Zhao, stay with me. I can't live with you." "Why?" "Because my mom and dad and brothers are waiting for me." I tried my best soothing voice. "I'll come visit you again when I have time, okay?" His head drooped. A dark cloud practically formed over him. He looked so sad it made me feel like I was the villain in this story. I couldn't be mean to a fool. I just couldn't. After talking until my mouth was dry, he finally looked up with those puppy eyes. "Will you really come see me again?" "Yes. I promise. And next time I'll bring you even better food." Before I left, I gave him sweet potatoes, crackers, and corn from the space, things he could eat right away. It was the least I could do for all those goodwill points. As I walked away, I could feel his gaze following me the entire time. My steps got faster and faster without meaning to. Behind me, Shinji held the candy tight in his palm. "I'll wait for you, Zhao Zhao." I rushed home and finally spotted our house. Before I could reach the gate, I heard someone calling me. It was Jianya, with little Dong Dong trotting behind him. Jianya's long legs brought him to me in seconds. He looked me over from head to toe, checking if anything was different from this morning. Only when he confirmed I looked fine did his furrowed brows relax. "Where were you? Why are you back so late?" "Mom and Dad were worried sick." "Sorry, second brother. I didn't mean to make you worry." That single apology completely disarmed him. His own sister was saying sorry to him. That had never happened with Jingmei. He let it go instantly. As long as I was safe, nothing else mattered. He noticed the big bundle in my arms and figured it was probably weeds. City girl can't tell the difference, right? "Let me carry that." He took it and frowned at the weight. "Since when were weeds this heavy?" Dong Dong came running up, cheeks flushed red. He reached up on his tiptoes trying to wipe sweat from my face with his sleeve, but he was too short, wobbling back and forth. My heart melted. I scooped him up into my arms. He clung to my neck, sniffing. "Sister smells nice. Not stinky like brothers." I managed about 3 steps before my arms gave out. Jianya made Dong Dong get down, and the little guy whispered in my ear before I set him down. "When we get home, Dong Dong will massage sister's legs." At the gate, Mom appeared, and her scolding died mid-sentence. Because Jianya had opened the bundle. It wasn't weeds. It was piles of wild vegetables and rare mushrooms. Chicken mushrooms, porcini, the kind of things people searched for and never found. And nestled in the middle was a fat, colorful wild pheasant. Already dead. I'd spent 15 goodwill points on it during my walk back. Balance, 222. Mom could barely speak. Where did you get all this?" "I went up the mountain and got lucky." That was the wrong thing to say. Mom nearly had a heart attack. "The mountain? There are wolves up there. Wild boars. Snakes. Traps." "My daughter, what were you thinking?" Dad was just as alarmed. "Zhao Zhao, nothing up there is worth more than your safety. If you want something, tell Dad. I'll figure it out. You cannot go up that mountain alone again." My brothers all chimed in with agreement. In that moment, I could feel how much they all cared. Especially Jianya. His face was burning red. I knew why. Last night through the wall, he'd been doubting me, worrying I might be scheming like Jingmei. Now here I was, risking my neck on a mountain to bring food home for the family. He probably wanted to slap his past self. 003 pinged. Goodwill 50. Total 272. I understood their worry, but I had 003 watching out for me. I wasn't as helpless as I looked. I rubbed my stomach. Mom, I'm kind of hungry. That snapped her right out of lecture mode. Of course you are. You've been out there all morning. Let me cook right now. She picked up the wild pheasant and weighed it in her hand. It was plump and heavy. She planned to salt it and save it just for me. Mom, let's cook it all today. You and Dad and my brothers work in the fields every day. You need real food. And Dong Dong is still growing. He needs meat too. We're family. I can't eat good food by myself while everyone else goes without. Those words hit Mom right in the heart. She teared up again. Most people who found a wild pheasant would hide it and eat it secretly. But I wanted to share everything. Mom, please listen to me. I want you and Dad to stay healthy. My sweet girl.
Okay.
We'll cook it all. Big lunch today. Everyone got to work. Jiang Wo handled the pheasant. Jianya manned the fire. Dad helped Mom with prep. That left Dong Dong and me staring at each other with nothing to do. I asked if he wanted to learn numbers and letters. His head dropped. I'm really dumb. The other kids all say so. I crouched down, took his little hand, and looked him in the eye. That's not true at all. I think Dong Dong is smart and cute. If you're willing to learn, you can definitely do it. Kids his age absorb what people tell them. If everyone calls you stupid, you believe it. What he needed was encouragement. His eyes brightened.
Okay, Dong Dong will learn.
I won't let sister down. I started teaching him numbers 1 through 10, using things around the house. This is 1. 1 chair, 1 table, 1 hand, 1 mouth. I kept it simple and fun. Learning takes patience, you can't rush it. We just got into 5 when Mom called out from the kitchen. Dinner's ready. When Mom called us to eat, everyone moved like lightning. The table was loaded, chicken, vegetables, mushroom soup, and real rice. It looked better than a New Year's feast. Nobody touched their chopsticks until Dad gave the word. Everyone eat. Daughter, have more. Dad had never played favorites before. Everyone got treated equally. But he made an exception for me, and nobody minded. Without me, there'd be no braised chicken, no mushroom soup, no white rice. They knew exactly where this food came from. Mom set a bowl of soup in front of me. Drink some soup first, sweetheart. Mom, you drink some too. See? Having a daughter is wonderful. Mom started praising me before she'd even taken a sip. Dong Dong chimed in with a mouthful of chicken. Sister's the best. Dad puffed up with pride. Of course my daughter is good. Then both brothers joined in. The praise kept going round and round the table. I'd only been here 2 days and was already used to being complimented from every possible angle. If I had a tail, it would have been wagging through the roof. Everyone ate like they couldn't stop. 1 bite of vegetables, 1 bite of meat, 1 bite of rice. Every mouthful was pure satisfaction. Even little Dong Dong polished off 2 full bowls. The table was cleaned completely. Not a scrap left. Jianya rubbed his belly. So this is what being full feels like. I think the food is up to my throat. 003 pinged. Goodwill 10. Balance. 282. I glanced at Jianya. This brother was tough on the outside, soft on the inside, and apparently his goodwill shot up the moment he got fed properly. He caught me looking and touched his face nervously, probably wondering if he had rice stuck on it. Dong Dong waddled over, belly sticking out like a little drum. My tummy is going to explode. I rubbed his round stomach gently. It's good to eat until you're full, but not until you're stuffed. Your little tummy can't handle too much. After eating, stand up or take a short walk to help digest. He nodded with rosy cheeks. Everything about me seemed to make him happy. After lunch, the men cleaned up quickly. They had to get back to the fields. Mom told me to stay home and rest. Dad agreed. Jiang Wo agreed. Jianya put on his straw hat and said, "We've got a few grown men. You think we can't handle some field work? Just relax." They all said the same thing. I was too skinny, too delicate, too pale. If I went to the fields, I'd get sunburned or faint. Jingmei hadn't done any work when she lived here, and I was their real sister. My treatment had to be even better. Fine. I stayed home. With everyone gone, it was just Dong Dong and me. He insisted on massaging my legs like he'd promised. I was lazy sometimes, sure, but I wasn't about to let a 5-year-old serve me. Instead, I decided to clean the house. The family spent all day in the fields and never had time to tidy up. Dong dong, and I swept every room inside and out. After that, I went back to teaching him numbers. The kid actually had a great memory. He could write 1 through 5 on his own from the morning lesson.
I moved on to 6 through 10.
We were halfway through when a girl about my age appeared at the door. She had dark skin, 2 braided pigtails, and a patched floral shirt. Her eyes landed on my face first, and I caught a flash of both admiration and jealousy. You must be Zhao Zhao, right? She looked me up and down as she came closer.
I'm Shaoji.
My dad is Su Erchuan, your uncle. So, I'm your cousin.
Right.
Dad's younger brother, the one who owed him 5 yuan.
This was his daughter.
I didn't know her at all. Can I help you with something? Zhaodi made herself comfortable without being invited, sitting down like she owned the place. Nothing really. Just heard you came back from the city, so I wanted to take a look. Then her eyes landed on a candy sitting on the table. She reached for it immediately. Ooh, what's this? It's all shiny, must be some fancy city candy. But Dong Dong was faster. His little hand snatched the candy away, and he puffed out his cheeks. That's mine. Zhaodi pulled her hand back, embarrassed. I wasn't going to take it. Don't be so stingy. Dong Dong didn't know what to say. He wasn't being stingy. He was protecting the gift his sister gave him. A cold light passed through my eyes. This girl was something else. A teenager trying to con candy from a 5-year-old. If anyone's being stingy, it's you, I said. How old are you? And you're picking fights with a little kid over a piece of candy. Zhaodi choked on her words. She clearly hadn't expected the pretty city girl to have such a sharp tongue. If that's all you came for, is there anything else? My meaning was clear. If not, you can leave. Zhaodi's smile stiffened. She tried one more time, talking about how we were family and she'd help with anything I needed. Oh? Then why didn't you bring anything? I asked. She stammered. It had been empty words, and we both knew it. She'd come to see what she could squeeze out of the city girl. Don't be so stingy, I said with a fake smile. I'm just joking. She had nothing left to say. I told her I was busy and she left, fuming. The moment she was gone, Dong Dong grabbed my sleeve. Sister, Zhaodi is bad. How so? One time I went to her house. She was eating peanuts and gave me one. Before I could eat it, she told her mom that I stole it. But I didn't, she gave it to me. And then the old sister. He meant Jingmei. She said she saw me eat it too. Mom had to pay them back a whole bowl of peanuts. Sister, I really didn't steal anything. My blood went cold. Zhaodi had framed a little kid to cover her own snacking. And Jingmei had backed up the lie. I pulled Dong Dong close. I believe you, Dong Dong. From now on, we stay away from her. He nodded hard and leaned into me. I found out later what happened when Zhaodi went home. Her mother, Tian Xiaoju, my uncle Su Erchuan's wife, was waiting with high expectations. When she saw Zhaodi come back empty-handed, her mood turned ice cold. Tian Xiaoju grilled her about what I looked like, whether the rumors were true. Zhaodi confirmed everything: fair skin, nice clothes, nothing patched. Then Tian Xiaoju scolded her for failing. You used to get all sorts of things out of Jingmei. Your uncle's family are simple-minded fools. Now that their real daughter is back, they'll give her everything. You need to cozy up to her, say sweet things, make her think you're her best friend. Young girls are soft-hearted. Once she trusts you, you can take whatever you want. Zhaodi hesitated. She seems smart. Hard to fool. Tian Xiaoju was furious at her daughter's uselessness. She coached her on exactly what to say and do, then barked at her to go wash her brother Yaozi's clothes and get back to the fields. As Zhaodi was scrubbing laundry, she heard her mother call sweetly to her brother inside. Yaozi, don't sleep all day. Come out, Mom boiled you an egg. Something bitter and burning twisted inside Zhaodi. Why couldn't she have been born to a mother like Zhou Jinhua? Her own mother had already sold off her 2 older sisters in marriage. If Zhaodi didn't make herself useful, doing the dirty work, bringing home stolen goods, she'd be sold off next. She'd exploited Jingmei before. Now her target was me. Meanwhile, out in the fields, The villagers were gossiping about me during their rest break under the old tree. "Old Sue, can your city daughter handle life out here?" Before Dad could answer, a nosy woman jumped in. "I saw her on day one, skin white as a peeled egg. But she's so thin a breeze could knock her over. Probably can't do a lick of work." This woman had issues with Mom. And Mom didn't hold back. "Wong Auntie, what my daughter can or can't do is none of your business. She doesn't need to work. My daughter is kind, caring, and thoughtful, the best daughter anyone could ask for." Mom praised me so high I might as well have been floating in the clouds. The other villagers quietly shut their mouths. They probably thought Mom was crazy for spoiling a daughter this much. In their minds, daughters married away eventually, better to invest in sons. But Dad backed Mom up with his deep, steady voice. She gave up a comfortable city life and came back on her own. That proves my daughter is the finest there is. He wasn't going to let anyone badmouth me. In a small village, reputation was everything. Out in the field, Jianya noticed Jingwo favoring his bad leg again. "Big brother, is your leg hurting? Take a break." Jingwo wiped the sweat from his forehead. "I'm fine." The pain came and went.
He was used to it by now.
No matter how much it hurt, he couldn't stop working. Dong Dong didn't want me to cook. Mom had told him to make sure I rested. But I was already at the stove, and I wouldn't let him help, except for watching the fire, which made him light up instantly. There was no meat left in the house. I couldn't pull any from the space without raising questions, so I'd need to make a trip to town soon. For now, I'd work with what we had. I decided on hand-pulled noodles. Back in the city, I'd watch the housekeeper and Mom Sue cook, but I'd never touched a pan myself. That didn't matter anymore. I spent 10 Goodwill points on a cookbook with 1,000 recipes. Balance, 272. The moment the knowledge entered my brain, I went from knowing nothing about cooking to being able to make anything. Just looking at flour, my head flooded with possibilities. Buns, dumplings, scallion pancakes, egg crepes, cake, noodle soup. But the family would be home soon, so I kept it simple. Hand-pulled noodles. Dong Dong stared at the bubbling pot like it was magic, swallowing hard. I offered him a bite of the scrambled eggs I'd made. He shook his head. "Sister, you eat. The hen is gone now. No more eggs." I fed him a piece anyway. His eyes went wide. It was delicious. Better than Mom's cooking, honestly, because I'd used proper oil from the space. Plenty of it. When the family came home, the noodles and stir-fried wild vegetables were ready. Jianya smelled it before he even reached the gate. "Mom, that amazing smell is coming from our house." Mom swatted him and rushed to the kitchen, worried I'd worn myself out. She grabbed my hands the moment she saw me. "Why are you working again?" "I told you to rest. Mom, I made you hand-pulled noodles. I wanted you to taste my cooking. You worked hard all day. I want you to come home and relax too." Her eyes welled up. In all her years married to Dad, nobody had ever had dinner ready and waiting for her. This was a first, and it was her own daughter who did it. Everyone sat down to full bowls of white flour noodles topped with egg and scallions, plus a plate of fresh wild greens. They dug in without hesitation. Even the slightly bitter wild vegetables tasted sweet and refreshing the way I'd prepared them. 003 pinged. Goodwill 10. Total. 282. After dinner, Mom told me something that lifted a huge weight off my chest. Because of my special situation, returning to my birth family, I wouldn't be counted as a regular sent-down youth. I didn't have to go work in the fields for work points. That night, I had another dream. This time I saw what happened after I died. My birth parents traveled all the way to the city to find me. Sue's father dismissed them with a cold, I don't know. By some terrible twist of fate, they ended up claiming my body from the river. They brought me home and buried me in the countryside. Mom cried every single day until she went blind. Her body broke down, and within a year, she was gone. After Mom died, Dad buried her himself. Then he sat between our two graves every day, not crying, not speaking, like a plant with no water left. One morning, he simply didn't wake up. It didn't end there. Jangwo fell sick and died shortly after our parents. Jianya took the most dangerous underground jobs to feed Dong Dong. One day there was a collapse. He never came out. Dong Dong became an orphan. He was beaten, starved, and abused. In the end, he starved to death. All 6 of them.
Dead.
The entire family wiped out. I woke up with my pillow soaked through. I was gasping, choking on sobs I couldn't hold back. This was another warning. Heaven was showing me what would have happened. My family never abandoned me. They came looking for me. They loved me so much it killed them, literally. If it wasn't for Su's father, I would have grown up here, surrounded by love. They would all still be alive. I made a vow right there in the dark. Su's father would pay for what he did. Everyone who hurt this family would face justice. And I would change their fate. I'd find a way to make money, give my parents a peaceful old age, let my brother stand tall, and make sure Dong Dong grew up safe and happy. 003, are you still there? It was the middle of the night. I'm always here, host. I had 003. This time, I wasn't going to lose. The next morning after breakfast, everyone headed to the fields. I told Mom I wanted to grow some vegetables in the empty patch of our yard. She hesitated. She didn't want me wearing myself out, and gardening wasn't as easy as it looked. But she didn't want to crush my spirit either. All right, let's try. But don't push yourself too hard. Jianya offered to help with the soil when he got back from work. But I had my own plan. I couldn't depend on everyone for everything. I wasn't a pampered city girl anymore. Once the family left, I grabbed Dong Dong, and we went to dig soil from a small hill on the south side of the village where anyone could take dirt. The big hoe was taller than me, so I grabbed a small one that fit my hands. I rolled up my sleeves and swung. The first hit barely scratched the surface. This dirt was rock hard. I adjusted my grip, planted my feet, and tried again. A tiny chunk came loose. My arms were burning, my palms raw and red from the rough wooden handle. After all that effort, I hadn't even filled one bucket. Little Dong Dong had dug almost as much as me. I kept going, sweat dripping down my face into the dirt. Then my foot slipped, and I landed flat on my rear end. My tailbone screamed with pain. Dong Dong panicked and begged me to stop. But I stood up, brushed off the dirt, and grabbed the hoe again.
I'm fine.
Doesn't hurt at all. That's when I felt eyes on me. I turned around and my face went red. A group of kids, maybe 5 of them, around 8 to 10 years old, were standing there watching me. They'd definitely seen my spectacular fall. I wanted to crawl into a hole. I smiled at them and pretended nothing happened. Then a dark-skinned, sturdy boy stepped forward with a serious face. "Sister, let me help." Before I could refuse, he took my hoe and cracked the earth open with one easy swing. He was fast, strong, and experienced. In minutes, he'd loosened more soil than I'd managed in an hour. The other kids jumped in too, scooping dirt into the bucket. Together, this little crew finished in no time what would have taken me half a day. Thank you all so much. I gave each of them a piece of candy. They didn't grab for it right away. Every kid looked at the tall boy first. He was clearly their leader. Only when he nodded did they accept. I learned their names. The leader was Xiao Shirtu, 10 years old. Then Gooden, Huzi, Xiao Chao, and Xiaohua. They were the sweetest, most polite kids. Shirtu even asked if I had more work they could help with, without wanting extra candy. I told them what they'd earned was well-deserved, and asked if they'd be friends with Dong Dong and play with him. They all said yes at once. They kept helping until the garden patch was fully covered with soil. Before they left, I gave each one a cookie. They tucked them carefully into their pockets like treasures. 003 pinged. Goodwill 3, 5, 5, 2, 5. Balance 297. Even kids counted. I was amazed. I started planning lunch, but hit a wall. No meat left, just wild vegetables. I could make vegetable ball soup, but even the best chef can't cook without ingredients. I really needed to get to town soon. Then the sky changed. 1 minute it was clear. The next it turned dark and heavy. Black clouds rolled over the mountains. Wind whipped through the trees. Dong Dong, do we have rain gear? He showed me 2 straw hats and 1 slightly torn umbrella. I'd completely forgotten to buy rain supplies. Another reason to visit town. When the first drops started falling, I grabbed the gear. Dong Dong, stay home. I'm bringing these to Mom and Dad, and the brothers. I'll be right back. I ran out into the growing storm. The sky went black, wind churning up dust and leaves. I hadn't even gone 100 meters when I saw a familiar figure stumbling toward me from the direction of the fields. It was Mom, pale, eyes wild with panic, practically tripping over herself. My heart dropped. Mom, what happened? She grabbed my arm so hard it hurt. Her tears came before her words. Your brother. She couldn't breathe. I rubbed her back.
Slow down, Mom.
What happened to Big Brother? His legs swelled up a huge lump. He tried to walk home, but he fell. He passed out and won't wake up no matter how much we call him. I remembered what Mom had told me about Jang Wo's old injury. It always hurt, but on rainy days it was unbearable. If it was bad enough to make him faint, the pain must have gone straight to the bone. Mom was drowning in guilt. I should have stopped him from going to the fields. I knew his leg was bad. Mom, this isn't the time for blame. We need to solve this. I held her trembling hands. Where is he now? Your dad and Janya got someone to drive the tractor. They took him to the clinic in town. Mom had come back to grab money. Thunder exploded overhead, and rain came crashing down like a wall of water. We ran home, soaked through. Mom grabbed every bit of savings from her room. I told her to change into dry clothes first, then left snacks for Dong Dong and told him to stay inside and not open the door for anyone until we got back. He nodded bravely. Dong Dong will wait for sister. We threw on straw rain cloaks and hats and headed for town. Walking was out of the question, and the shared tractor was already gone. We had to beg old Lou to take us by ox cart in the pouring rain. By the time we reached the clinic, we were drenched to the bone, freezing despite the summer heat. The place smelled of disinfectant and medicine. I found Jang Wo lying unconscious on a hospital bed, face flushed red, lips white, forehead wrapped in blood-stained gauze. Dad, the strongest, most stoic man I knew, was bent over in front of the doctor, begging. His voice was raw. Doctor, please look again. We'll pay anything. Please save my son. The doctor was an older man, maybe 50, looking exhausted. He explained that Jang Wo's leg was an old injury that had never healed properly. The fall today had caused severe infection and a dangerous fever, 40 degrees. The fever shot wasn't working, and the infection was spreading. If they couldn't stop it, his life was in danger. What can we do? We'll do anything. Jianya's eyes were blood red. The doctor paused, then said the two worst words I'd ever heard. Amputate. No. Jianya broke down completely. Tears and snot ran down his face. He can't lose his leg. That's the same as killing him. It's my fault. I saw him hurting yesterday, and I should have forced him to stay home. He was hitting his own head, drowning in regret. Mom arrived at the doorway just in time to hear, amputate. Her vision went black, her legs buckled, and she nearly collapsed. I caught her arm. Mom. Dad rushed over to steady her. The doctor said there might be better options at a bigger hospital, but we all knew, in this storm, we couldn't go anywhere. Mom fell to her knees before the doctor, sobbing.
He's only 25.
He can't lose his leg. Please, there has to be another way. The doctor looked pained but honest. I wish I could do more, but this clinic doesn't have the equipment. The safest option right now is amputation. At least that saves his life. My blood ran cold. I'd seen what happened in my dream. Jang Wo dying after our parents. I was back now. I would not let that happen. 003. I called out desperately in my mind. Can you see my brother's condition? Can you help? I bought that acupuncture book. Is it enough? I have 297 Goodwill points. I'll spend every single one if it saves him. Please, 003. You're all I've got. Don't panic, host. Let me scan his body first. A moment later, the results came in. Left ankle. Badly healed fracture with bone deformity. Severe soft tissue infection. Osteomyelitis. Blood poisoning causing the high fever. If we didn't control the infection and bring down the fever, his organs would start shutting down. What can I buy? 003 told me that even with the acupuncture knowledge, I couldn't perform complex surgery. The only option was medicine from the system shop. It recommended an antibiotic injection for the bacterial infection and a powerful fever reducer. Combined with my acupuncture skills, they could work. I'll buy them. The 2 injections cost 140 points. The body scan cost 30. Total, 170 points. Did I confirm?
Yes.
The instant the purchase went through, I felt 2 small rectangular boxes appear in my inner pocket. The instructions for how to use them flooded into my brain automatically. 003 then showed me an acupuncture kit, 30 more points. I bought it without hesitation. Balance, 97 goodwill points. Just then, I heard Dad's broken voice from inside the room. All right, we'll do what the doctor says. He was about to agree to the amputation. I stepped forward and said it loud and clear. Dad, I have a way. Mom, Dad, I have a way. I can bring down his fever and save his leg. The doctor was furious. This is absurd. You're a young girl. What could you possibly know? This patient has a life-threatening infection. I've already given him an injection, and his fever won't break. What can you do that I can't? Acupuncture. I held up my needle kit. He laughed coldly. I've practiced medicine for decades. You think some folk remedy can outdo modern treatment in a crisis like this? You people need to make a decision now. Every minute counts. If you miss the window for amputation, he could die. I didn't have time to argue with him. I couldn't explain 003. I just needed my family to trust me. Mom, please believe me. I really can save his leg. Mom nodded hard. I believe you, Zhao Zhao. She'd thought it through. Jiang Wo was proud and already broken inside from his injury. If he lost the leg entirely, he wouldn't survive, not physically, maybe not mentally either. Better to take the chance. Dad, and Jianya agreed too. The doctor was livid. His face went white.
Fine.
Do what you want. But if anything happens to this patient, it has nothing to do with this clinic. You chose to refuse proper treatment, Mom told him calmly. We won't blame you. Now it was a race against time. I forced myself to be completely calm. Jianya, get me a basin of hot water and clean towels. Mom, Dad, loosen Big Brother's shirt so his chest and arms are exposed. Then wait outside. I need absolute silence. Everyone moved instantly. 2 minutes later, it was just me and Jiang Wo. I took a deep breath, pushing every stray thought out of my head. First, I pulled out the 2 injection vials from 003. I sterilized the injection sites, found the right spots, and slowly pushed both medications into his muscle, the antibiotic and the fever reducer. Then I opened the acupuncture kit. Silver needles of different lengths gleamed under the hospital light. The treatment method for Jiang Wo's specific condition appeared crystal clear in my mind. I closed my eyes, reviewed it once, then opened them with nothing but calm focus. I steadied my fingers around the first thin needle, found the exact point, and twisted it gently through the skin to the proper depth. I could feel the subtle changes beneath the needle, the resistance of tissue, the pulse of energy. At first I moved carefully, but gradually my hands found their rhythm, moving faster, more confident, as if I'd done this 1,000 times. Each needle placed with precise depth and angle. Time crawled. Sweat covered my forehead, but I couldn't stop to wipe it. My concentration was total, and it was draining me fast. My back was soaked through. 30 minutes later, I slowly straightened my stiff back and let out a long breath. It was done. When I stood up fully, my vision went black. I grabbed the bed frame to keep from falling. But Jiang Wo's leg was saved. Zhao Zhao. Mom rushed in the second she heard my voice. She saw my white face and the sweat everywhere and immediately held me up. You're exhausted. I managed a smile. I'm okay, Mom. My voice came out dry and scratchy. The doctor walked over with a skeptical look, ready to say, I told you so. He glanced at the heart monitor and stopped mid-sentence. The readings had returned to normal range. He practically leaped to Jiang Wo's bedside. He touched his forehead. The fever had broken. He grabbed a thermometer and waited. When he read the mercury, he froze completely. Then Jiang Wo's eyelids started to flutter. His fingers twitched. He coughed twice and opened his eyes. It took him a few seconds to focus. Jianya threw himself at the bed like a child, grabbing his brother's hand. How do you feel? Jiang Wo was confused. He remembered working in the fields, his leg hurting in waves, then a headache, then rain coming. After that, nothing. I think I'm okay. What happened to me? Your leg. Does it hurt? He moved it carefully.
It
Doesn't hurt. The constant, bone-deep agony that had tormented him was gone. The doctor rushed back over and examined the leg. The swelling that had been angry red and hard with protruding bone was already softening. The redness and heat had faded significantly. The swelling is going down. The infection is under control. He was mumbling to himself in disbelief. This is a medical miracle. He'd expected me to fail. Instead, I'd not only broken the fever, but controlled the severe infection that he'd said was impossible to treat without amputation. He turned and stared at me like he was seeing a ghost.
How?
How did you do this? I pointed at my throat, pretending I'd lost my voice. In truth, I just hadn't thought of a good excuse yet. The doctor's whole attitude transformed. The anger and doubt vanished from his eyes, replaced by shame.
I'm sorry, comrade.
I was narrow-minded. Please forgive my attitude. Traditional Chinese medicine truly is profound. I've learned something today at my age. He meant it. Whatever mistakes he'd made, he owned them. Looking at the white hair at his temples and hearing his sincere apology, my anger disappeared completely. He'd been doing his job. If I didn't have 003, I would have been just as helpless, crying and begging like everyone else. Doctor, you're too kind. I learned acupuncture by chance from an old master. I only tried it because my brother's situation was desperate. He wanted to stay and discuss Chinese medicine with me, but other patients were waiting. Before leaving, he gave us a list of things to watch for during recovery. Once the doctor left, the room went quiet. The family gathered around Jiang Wo's bed. He was confused. The last thing he remembered was collapsing on the way home. Now he was in a hospital. He'd overheard something about his leg. Jianya read his expression instantly. Relax, big brother. Your leg is fine for now. Jiang Wo exhaled with relief. But Mom wasn't done. She smacked him on the head. Everyone quietly shuffled to the other side of the bed, giving Mom plenty of room to work.
Mom.
Why did you hit me? Why? Your leg was swollen like a steamed bun with pus coming out of it, and you still went to work in the fields. You have a mouth. Why didn't you say something? I thought it was nothing. He was the eldest. He didn't want to be a burden. Jianya helpfully chimed in from the side. I noticed yesterday he wasn't feeling well. Told him to rest. He said he was fine. What? I said, playing along perfectly. He did. Oh, yes, he did. Jiang Wo stared at both of us. We tag-teamed him, without missing a beat. Mom's fire burned even hotter. Nothing? If it was nothing, why did you collapse? Why are you in a hospital? I've told you 1,000 times, if something hurts, say so. Are you trying to worry me to death? Jiang Wo's eyes dropped. I'm sorry, Mom. Then, quietly, the words he'd been holding inside finally came out. It's the busiest farming season. I thought if I worked harder, we'd earn more work points, get more grain in autumn. I didn't want to drag the family down. My leg has been bad for a while. I can't do as much as before. Jianya carries most of the load. I just didn't want everyone making allowances for me. Those words had been sitting like stones in his chest for a long time. Mom's anger melted into pure heartache. You foolish child. What, dragged down? We're family, bone connected to bone. If you push yourself until something terrible happens, how do you think we'd feel? You think your parents and siblings wouldn't be in pain? Jianya said softly. Big brother, just talk to us next time. We're all here. Dad's voice was steady now. Tears dried. Jiang Wo, from now on, if something hurts, you tell us. If the sky falls, your father will hold it up. This family carries everything together. Then Mom made sure Jiang Wo knew exactly how close he'd come. She told him everything. The fever that wouldn't break, the doctor's verdict, the word, amputate. Jianya jumped in. You were this close to losing your leg. The doctor said it was the only way to keep you alive. If it wasn't for Zhao Zhao's acupuncture, your leg would be gone right now. He was practically glowing with admiration for me. Beautiful, brilliant, brave, skilled, calm under pressure. He went through every compliment in existence. Jiang Wo sat frozen as the full picture sank in. Then came the wave of fear. If he'd really lost his leg, the mere thought suffocated him with despair. He looked at me, eyes glistening.
Zhao Zhao.
Thank you. From now on, my life belongs to you. I kept my voice gentle. Big brother, don't say things like that. We're family. That's what family does. Just rest and get better. We need you. 003 pinged. Goodwill 50. Balance, 147. I thought back to what 003 had told me. Each person could give a maximum of 50 points at one time, and after their total passed 100, future contributions would slow to just 1 or 2 points at best. My parents, both brothers, Dong, they'd all already hit their 50-point mark at least once. I used to think my goodwill balance was plenty. Now, after spending most of it to save Jiangwo, I realized it was nowhere near enough. For myself, for my family, for the better life I'd promised them, I needed to find new ways to actively earn goodwill points. And I needed to start soon. Jianya couldn't help asking. Zhao Zhao, is Big Brother's leg actually healed now? I shook my head. The dangerous infection and fever are under control, and the swelling is going down a lot. But his bone was set wrong in the first place, so his leg will keep hurting. That problem isn't fixed yet. We've only saved the leg for now. Jiangwo took the news calmly. Being able to keep my leg is more than enough.
I'm grateful, Zhao Dao.
If I walk with a limp for the rest of my life, that's fine. As long as I can still work, he'd already prepared for the worst. Keeping the leg at all felt like a miracle. But I looked him in the eye and said something that shocked everyone. Big brother, your leg can be fully healed. I can do a procedure to make you walk normally again like anyone else. Really? Walking normally was something he hadn't dared to dream about. Really? I trusted 003 could help me solve this. I just needed enough goodwill points first. Give me some time to prepare. Dad immediately said he'd support me with whatever I needed. But Mom's expression was complicated. She desperately wanted Jiangwo healed, but she was afraid too. Afraid of giving him hope that might not come true. Afraid he'd be crushed if it failed. Afraid he might resent me. She spoke up directly. Jiangwo, your sister is willing to try her best for you. But no matter the outcome, you accept it without a single complaint. Understood? Mom, don't worry. Just keeping this leg is already more than I deserve. Whether it fully heals or not, that's fate. I will never blame Zhao Zhao. He meant every word. Jiangwo wanted to leave the hospital immediately. Every minute costs money. Mom told him not to worry about that. The doctor came back, ran another check, and confirmed his temperature was normal and the swelling had dropped significantly.
He was cleared to go.
The doctor was warm and friendly now. Young comrade, if you ever need anything, come find me anytime. He clearly wanted future chances to discuss Chinese medicine with me. Getting discharged was easy. Getting home was the problem. Jiangwo couldn't put weight on his leg, and the village was 20 li away. Jianya pounded his chest. I'll carry Big Brother on my back, second brother. I said, you're overestimating yourself just a tiny bit. He touched his nose, a little embarrassed. We'd gotten comfortable enough to tease each other. Mom shut it down too. 20 li on your back? You'd collapse, and his leg bouncing around the whole way would make things worse. While they debated, I spotted an empty ox cart on the street. I walked over, talked to the driver, and handed him money from my pocket. Mom caught me instantly.
Zhao Zhao.
You're not paying for this. She wanted me and Jiangwo to ride while she, Dad, and Jianya walked. Dad said the same. Keep your money for yourself. Jianya agreed. You and Big Brother ride. Dad and I will walk. The money's already paid, I said simply. It can't be returned. And Dong is home alone. I'm worried about him. Everyone get on the cart. I half-pushed, half-guided Mom onto the cart. Then I turned to Dad and Jianya. Whether you get on or not, the money's spent. They gave in. Once we were moving, Mom pulled out the exact amount and stuffed it back into my pocket. I tried to refuse, but she was firm. Listen to me, Zhao Zhao. You're kind-hearted, but what's yours stays yours. I have 3 sons. I'm not spending my daughter's money. The cart driver overheard everything and kept glancing back at us. In his experience, mothers took their daughters' money. They didn't give it back. He'd never seen anything like this. While we were riding home, The news about Zhang Wo had already spread through the village like wildfire and mutated through several versions along the way. It started as, Su Zhangwo fainted in the fields, then became, he hit his head on a rock and bled everywhere. They rushed him to the hospital, then, his face was white as paper. They couldn't wake him up no matter what they tried. Then, poor boy probably won't make it. And finally, the version that reached my uncle's wife, Tian Xiaoju. Su Zhangwo is dead. He stopped breathing right there in the field, and the whole family collapsed crying.